We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to the special edition of Armchair Rocket Science for the launch of Artemis I, the NASA's SLS rocket. With me we got John, and of course our resident rocket scientist, Stephanie Osborne. How are you doing, Stephanie?
I'm doing well, Joe. I'm kind of excited for this.
We already got an audience going.
Yeah, we got... who is our audience? Oh, Lewis Lee.
Yeah, he's over here.
Lewis.
Hey, Lewis.
Hey, Lewis.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you're interested in jumping in with us, we've still got room. We're covering, sort of waiting on. We're in a built-in 10-minute hold for 30 minutes. Go ahead and going to pull this up. This is the NASA media feed. So of just what's going on at
that's the look at that is the
grandstands.
The grandstands to watch the launch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here it is. Almost going on 1 a.m. on the East Coast, and those stands are full. And that's
on a school day.
On a school day.
On a school day.
TMC. All right, Lewis just sent me a message, so let me get this real quick. I'm sending Lewis a link to jump in with this. Okay.
Yeah, we are in a 10-minute hold. It is a planned hold. That means
helicopters.
That whatever they had planned to get accomplished for this particular step of the checklist, the countdown checklist, would take about 10 minutes. The advantage to the built-in holds are that they can be extended without interfering with the launch prep.
Yes.
So if they encounter a difficulty, they can actually extend the hold, fix the difficulty, resume the count, having lost nothing. They don't have to go back and reset anything.
And they've already had 2 difficulties tonight. They fixed
Yes,
both of them.
They
so
fixed
that's-
both of them. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
One of the holds was a sticky valve,
Yeah.
sticky valve, and they actually sent a crew of 3 up to the base of the rocket to pretty much whack it with a hammer.
Yeah, with wrenches.
Yeah, they
were
torqued it with a wrench.
tightening. Yeah.
Hey, Lewis.
Big pocket
And
wrench.
the big honking wrench. Yeah. And then the other one was actually an Ethernet switch.
Yeah.
Had glitched.
We're not going to
so
mention the
they thought-
manufacturer, but that's-
Well, they thought it was a range radar problem, and if it had been,
Ooh.
that would have been the end of the launch attempt.
uh-oh.
We've just that video.
Mine's back up.
Yours is back up. Okay.
Yours is back up.
Oh, okay.
It's drone footage. What do you expect?
Lewis, can you hear
Those
us?
are drones. I thought
Yes.
those were helicopters.
Okay. Me and Stephanie have a little cheat sheet here going, and as a lot of y'all know, SLS is built with spare parts, essentially.
Whatever NASA had.
But
laying around.
it was a deliberate thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
But,
were trying to honor what came before, I think.
All 5 shuttles. There are components from all 5 of the shuttles on this rocket. Engine number 1 was used on the shuttle to take John Glenn back to space. Engine number 2 was used to install the Quest airlock on the International Space Station. And the 2 returned to flight missions after the loss of Columbia. Engine 3, was also the final flight of Discovery, and took the Harmony node and the Japanese Kibo laboratory to the International Space Station. And Engine 4 was flight proven on 3 space shuttle launches, space station resupply flight, STS-127 and 135. The engine on the crew module is an OMS engine from the Space Shuttle Challenger, representing all 5. And every engine has a nut, a bolt, a fuel line, a hose, or something from Columbia's first flight, from the engines on Columbia's first flight, which is pretty neat history.
And these solid rocket boosters, despite having one extra segment and being larger than the ones used on the space shuttle, some of the segments from it have also flown in space before. So.
Yes, that's also true. Yes.
So, show of hands, how many of us on the panel were alive to watch Apollo?
I was, but
How many of us were alive to watch and remember Gemini?
I might be, but I'm not sure.
I was alive for Mercury, but I honestly don't remember it.
I mean, it's
I do
Same here.
remember. I do remember Apollo because.
T-minus 10 minutes and holding. Got an update from the range to the NASA test director that their work on the bad Ethernet switch is complete, and they are ready for open loop tests.
Yes.
This tests the range ability to send a destruct signal to the rocket in the case it were to go off course and
hey, Kiri,
endanger the
so far,
public.
so good.
This is a mandatory test that needs to be completed. Again, the range finishing the work on the replacement of their Ethernet switch that was rendered their radar acquisition and sending of the flight termination signal to the SLS rocket repaired.
Hey, don't harp on
And
that.
so now they need to run an open loop test to
You're gonna jinx
confirm
the whole operation.
that they have good signal going into the rocket in case they need to send a flight termination signal. For the upper stage of the rocket, we are, well, let's talk about the whole rocket. Core stage and upper stage. We have the core stage in stable replenish, both hydrogen and oxygen. And in the upper stage, we're stable on the liquid oxygen side. We briefly paused fast fill on the upper stage, which is currently at 80% filled, in order to do a test of the vent valve on that liquid hydrogen tank. Fast fill has resumed.
Yes.
And currently we are in topping on the upper stage.
Yes. Upper 60s.
A liquid hydrogen. So that is just in. We are into topping on the upper stage of the liquid hydrogen tank, and we are awaiting the range testing their flight termination system with the launch team. This is Artemis Launch Control.
Awesome. That's
So far
good.
It's looking
Now, they
really,
said
really
radar.
good. Yes.
They said the radar had gone, the range radar had gone down, and that's what the Ethernet box or whatever it was they had to change out.
Yep.
And then they said flight termination. So apparently it wasn't radar; it was tracking communications or something. Like
The
Well, that's
We are currently
radar
in
tracking.
a
Yeah.
T-minus 10 hold. This is a pre-planned hold that has 11 minutes left. The pre-planned hold goes for a half hour. The T0 is set for 1:04 a.m. Eastern time, but currently the launch team is working to catch up to what appears to be a slip into the launch window, which is currently 2 hours and goes until 3:04 a.m. Eastern time. Now
This
we'll
is
get
not
a
unusual.
solid
None of this
T0
is unusual.
once the launch team is able to determine how much work is left.
And for those
But
of y'all
again,
who
it's
just joined, quick update.
based on the math and where we are, it looks like we are slipping into the window. But again, that's not official. We don't have a new T0 as of right now.
And that's not
This is
a
Artemis
problem.
Launch Control.
Chris, the cold front that came through here has not reached that part of Florida yet. So, yeah, it's nice down there.
It's upper 60s, about 65 or so, and 8-mile-an-hour wind, which you can see the exhaust coming off the tanks there, which is good.
Hey, Mark.
And Robert Fortier asked, have they ever had to use the flight termination signal?
Yes.
Yes.
On Challenger, they detonated both of the solid rocket boosters.
Yes.
And of course, Mark Wandry, an author there, says Go NEA Scout, which is a mission that a friend of ours, Les Johnson, has aboard this launch. It's a near-Earth asteroid test vehicle using a solar sail.
Les and I go back to graduate school together. So, we're kind of keeping an eye on that one.
Yeah.
So,
And,
really hoping for good luck for him there.
In December, I have been in communication with Mr. Les Johnson. He wants to drop in on the show about nothing on a Thursday night sometime.
Well, there's a Thursday night coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, he's at the Cape. He's at the Cape on account of this.
They don't have internet. They still use Ethernet cable and use it on the radar.
Yes, but he's probably going to be there and be very, very busy until the solar sail is deployed and launches.
And what I was getting at earlier, for those of you who are just joining, they had a leaking hydrogen valve on the refill system. Okay, they sent a team in, clamped it down with some wrenches, got it tightened up. That got fixed, and then shortly after that, they had an Ethernet system go down on the radar, and they've already changed out the Ethernet for that. So that's 2 problems they've had.
They are cranking too.
Which means that, you know what they say, a bad dress rehearsal means for a great
launch.
show.
So, yeah.
Yep. And they've had a few bad dress rehearsals.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah, unfortunately, bless them, yes.
2 hurricanes. Let's see, what was it? What was the first?
Some leaks on the pad.
Yeah.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Mark says, the red team. Try imagine being those guys to roll up on a 1,000-ton bomb leaking hydrogen.
Hey,
we were trying not to make Nettling jokes while we were watching that.
Yes,
so.
I'm the guy that had to put the arming jumper into the 1,800 pound of C4 MIG-LIC charge. Okay, I know how they feel, because you're sitting there holding that little metal thing, going, "I hope there's no static electricity around here." Okay, yeah. I'm good.
Oh.
Well, Joe,
yes, sir.
I have a quick announcement that I haven't told anybody else yet.
You're pregnant.
No. But I have been showing for several years.
Aren't we all?
I have been asked to become a TV production, digital media production teacher at a local school.
Awesome.
And I accepted the job yesterday. So it's going to be for Skyuka Hall, which is a private school that caters to children on the spectrum. And my students test anywhere from 105 to 165 IQ.
Wow.
They're geniuses. They just learn differently. So it should be interesting.
That's why they're geniuses.
Yep.
They learned like everyone else. They'd be like the rest of the cattle.
Yep.
Well, congratulations. That sounds
I'm apprehensive, but excited about it.
So you're going to be teaching media production?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, I guess they'll probably have like a morning newscast and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At school, for all the classrooms.
Yep. It's a very small student body, but they're very involved, and so are the parents. So that's good.
Sounds awesome.
Yep.
And of course, now you have a way to possibly show them how to broadcast internet.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they've got a great setup there. Steph left us. Yeah, they've got a great 3-room studio there. They've got all the latest equipment.
There she is.
I mean, we're ready to do live broadcasting on the internet right now. So
it might have been the red team went out there and the router quit working. That I'll tell you something.
Yeah. Let's see.
So Stephanie, that cowling that's over the capsule, that's got to be a bummer for the astronauts, because they always had a window and they could see the sky go from blue to black, but now.
Well,
how long does that cowling stay on after launch?
Not on Apollo. Yes, on shuttle. I do not know how long the cowling stays on. I haven't gotten my hands on a checklist yet
Mhm.
to look at that sort of stuff.
I
I
think
would love to
actually,
get my hand.
you may have a checklist.
Oh,
Uh,
do I? Let me look.
Let me pull up the paperwork.
Oh, okay.
I know how long the checklist is for a Cessna. I can't imagine what the checklist is like on a system like that.
It's usually
Well, but yeah, the checklist is.
no, I don't have it.
Let me see.
It is after second stage separation,
Mm.
so at least 8 minutes.
That is my one complaint about this system is how much of it doesn't come back.
Yeah. This flight doesn't. It does have the into a cryo propulsion stage. Yes, it does. That is the that's what the crew module will be powered by. And Mark, this crew module, the OMS engine from Challenger is the engine for this ICPS. I don't know if you heard me talk earlier, but all 5 space shuttles are represented on this flight with components from past flights. And every engine, the RS-25, is that what it's called, Stephanie?
Correct.
I believe
The
so. Yes.
RS-25? Every RS-25 on this rocket has a component from the first shuttle mission of Columbia. Whether it be a fuel line, a nut, a bolt, something from that first flight of the shuttle is on those engines. Which I think is pretty cool.
Remember earlier I was talking about how many helicopters I saw flying around in the background?
Yeah.
I figured out they weren't helicopters. Those are drones.
Oh, yeah.
They got camera drones all over the place out here. Matter of fact, I think that's what this is.
They're about to go to Houston.
What do you mean they're about to go to Houston?
The shot. It's about to go to Houston.
Oh, you got that up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got 2 of these just in case.
Yeah, well, the reason we're on this is because of music that they play and copyright issues.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught it, but Stephanie, how'd you like that one-time opening for the?
I loved it. I loved it. About 3.25 minutes after launch, the emergency launch abort system and the protective fairing will be jettisoned.
Okay, 3 minutes after launch.
3.
Okay.
That's more like it.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
should be.
Because that's after Max Q, right?
Yeah.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yes.
Max Q is really the end of the danger period as far as things
Getting low
blowing up.
ground.
It's the protective cowling is not so much for atmospheric disturbances as it is if they have to abort
Right.
and pull the capsule away rocket.
Right.
Is that a
Yeah.
bridge?
If one of the stages
It
starts to
protects
blow
the
up
capsule
or
from
spontaneously
the
disassemble.
emergency rocket. Well, it protects No, it protects
No,
from
that's right,
the
Megan. So
exhaust.
we are
of-
clearly in a delay
no,
now. The
it
NASA
protects
test
it from the
director, who's
exhaust
basically flying the ship
from the
for the
emergency
launch
escape rocket
countdown
over
tonight,
it.
has said that we are extending the hold that we were currently in at T-minus 10 minutes and counting. And so that puts us off the 1:04 a.m. Eastern Time launch. We're now slipping indefinitely into the hold. NASA test director Carlos Monge saying that we are currently estimating how much work needs to be done before resuming the polling that is supposed to take place 15 minutes before launch.
Okay.
It then goes to terminal count at T-minus 10 minutes. Now we've got an update on the tanking of the upper stage liquid hydrogen tank. Currently 95% filled. We're in topping on that tank. It is the last of 4 tanks in the Space Launch System that needed to be completely fueled up before we launch. Of course, cryogenic tanking, a complex operation that has seen some delays tonight. We had a roughly hour delay after a replenish valve on the core stage liquid hydrogen side required hands-on work by a Red Crew team that went out to the launch pad and tightened down some bolts on the valve and got it fixed before leaving the launch pad, and then launch team verifying that that work was complete. Now currently we're awaiting some work with the range. The 45th Space Wing, which oversees the range here and makes sure that the airspace and the ocean out over the flight path is clear, and also has the responsibility to destruct the rocket should it go off track. They have been working on some issues with their equipment and sending a flight termination signal to the rocket. There's testing that must happen with the flight termination system that was delayed by a bad Ethernet switch. Switch has been changed out, and now the range is looking to start testing their connectivity to the rocket in order to preserve that safety function that they are responsible for. So again, we are slipping now indefinitely into the launch window. We're awaiting the launch team to evaluate just how much time is required to complete the work to get this rocket ready to launch. And of course, when we have a new T0 for you, we'll report that out right away. Megan, back to you.
Okay, so it would have been launching in 7 minutes, best case scenario.
Yeah.
Correct.
But they've got another 1 hour and 59 minutes past that in the entire window. So because of all the problems they had earlier with the leaking valve and the Ethernet cable, they're having to, well, they're finally getting the rocket fueled up, and they need to test the connectivity. So in case you didn't hear that guy.
I'm now this is Joe talking, pulling something out of my hiney.
That's usually gaseous.
I'm gonna say 1:43 a.m.
Oh, come on, man. At least guess 1:30. I gotta get to sleep. I got a haircut appointment in the morning.
I got a vet appointment. We found a vet that makes house calls.
Ooh.
Donna gonna have you put down?
No.
No,
We're
they
gonna-
have 2 new kittens
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
named Lucy and Ethel.
You know, I heard
And-
that because of the COVID-19 thing, that there were a lot of vets that were doing house calls.
Yeah. It's
Excuse me.
this is the first call that we've made with them to actually come out and check the pet and it still be alive when they leave. They would usually come out and help us put help our dogs cross over, let's just say that. Oh. And we've already had enough animals cross over this week.
Yeah. Bless y'all's heart. I felt so bad for y'all.
Oh, that was, trust me, it was, having the new kittens has helped a whole lot.
Good.
Except, like I said, she got them from her cousin. They're bonded. They're about 6 months old, which means the bad habits are already set in.
Yeah.
And they like being up high on top of kitchen cabinets and everything. And I was telling Stephanie earlier, you try and come on down. And when you look away, they decide to jump. And not jump down, jump to you.
Mm.
Nothing like catching a furry tornado with fish hooks with about a second and a half notice.
Tasmanian devil cat.
Oh, but well, Stephanie, we can tell some of you can tell some of your great NASA stories. Especially
Well, sure.
amphibious one. I love the amphibious story.
Oh, the amphibious story?
Yeah,
AKA the frog in the vomit comet.
yeah.
I can do that while we wait.
Lewis, have you heard?
No, I've not.
Oh, this is good.
So, one of the missions that I worked was Space Lab Japan. STS. You know what? Somebody look that up for me real quick. See what STS number it was. SLJ.
SLJ.
SLJ, Space Lab Japan. You should just be able to. Type in Space Lab Japan, and I bet it'll come with
Nope, didn't come up with SLJ.
STS 47.
Okay,
Space Lab J, STS 7. STS 47. So that was one of the missions that I worked. I sat console for it as a payload flight controller. And different experiments, it was very much a microgravity laboratory kind of mission. They had material science and they had life sciences. And one of the experiments that they were going to take up was called the frog embryology experiment, or FEE for short. So they were going to have to, it was one of the early experiments in embryology in space, and they were going to have to take up live frogs. So obviously, before you take up live frogs, you really kind of want to get a feel for how they're going to behave and react to the weightless environment. And so they took up a live frog on board a vomit comet. For those of you who may not know what a vomit comet is, there are various types of aircraft that are used, but the general the commonality there is that they are all flying parabolic arcs. So at the top of the arc, right through here, you go weightless, and then as you come down, you come through a loop, not really a loop, but a trough. You pull extra G's, you come back up, you're weightless, you come down, you pull extra G's. Actually, interestingly enough, a good bit of the movie Apollo 13 was filmed on board a vomit comet. So those weightless segments in there, they actually were weightless. But they do that for a lot of stuff. They do it for training purposes. They do it to find out how animals are going to behave, how experiments are going to behave. Unfortunately, you only get a few seconds of weightlessness at the top of each arc. So it's not like you can do something that's going to last a long time. That's why we take stuff up and do it up there. But the trick is that once these things, it's not cheap to do. So once these things get started, they do not stop. They go through a series of 40 parabolic arcs before they stop. And it doesn't matter if you're in the inside barfing your guts out, you got a deal. So I got to watch the video of this particular experiment to determine how frogs behave in the weightless environment. Unfortunately, they didn't see fit to save that video, and I didn't get my hands on a copy of it soon enough. But picture this, okay? You've got a camera mounted to the forward bulkhead right behind the flight deck, looking aft through the cabin towards the tail. And about a third of the way back, there is a table bolted to the deck. On that table is a box about yay cube, and it's got a lid on it. And so you see, you're watching, and all at once you notice things are loose objects are starting to drift up in the cabin, and you realize they've just hit the first parabolic arc. And so an astronaut drifts in from one side and floats over to the table, and he lifts the lid off of the box, and all at once you see this green streak. The frog has gone, I'm free! Kick! Kapwing, 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 kapwing. Come out of the top of the arc, blap onto the deck. Astronaut walks over, retrieves the frog, puts him back in the box, puts the lid over on the box. Second parabolic arc. Everything starts to float up. Astronaut drifts in from the right, takes the lid off the box, reaches in, picks up the frog, who has had the sense not to kick out of the box, and puts him down on the table next to the box. The frog goes, I'm free! Kick! Kapwing, 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 kapwing. Blap. So, astronaut scoops him up, puts him back in the box, puts the lid back on the box. Third parabolic arc. Things start to drift up. Astronaut floats in, takes the lid off the box, reaches in, grabs the frog, releases him in midair. Frog goes, I'm free! Kick, 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 kick. Why am I not going anywhere? Then you see this little tiny light bulb come on over the frog's head. Swim, swim, swim. So now he's moving. It's slow, but he's moving. He's literally swimming through the air until he gets over to the side bulkhead. And he says, solid! I'm free! Kick! Kapwing, 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 blap. So this goes on and on and on. 40 parabolic arcs. One of the things that we learned out of this is that frogs are dumb. But so we get to the last parabolic arc, and they have it planned that what they're going to do is they're going to release the frog into the cabin, wait like 5 seconds, and then send the astronaut after the frog and time it to see how long it takes the astronaut to catch the frog and get it back in the box. This is to simulate what would happen. The frog embryology experiment was supposed to be in a glove box, but you have to move things in and out of glove boxes, and the frog could still get free. So this was to simulate how difficult would it be to catch a frog loose in the cabin of the orbiter. So you see everything start to drift up. The astronaut floats over, takes the lid off the box, and backs up out of frame. And you see the little countdown clock starts in the corner of the screen, and you see it counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, +1, +2, +3, +4. There's no frog coming out of that box. And so finally the camera starts to jiggle a little bit. You realize somebody's taking it off of its mount. And then it moves back through the cabin to the table, and then it tilts down and zooms in, and the frog is hunkered down in the bottom of that box.
T-minus 10 minutes and holding.
Not coming out. No way, no how. You can't make me.
I have an update on a new issue that the launch team was studying, and that's the possible liberation, as they say, of some RTV, room temperature vulcanization, essentially caulk that is around the Orion, between Orion and panels that come off to reveal the solar panels for the Orion and European service module. The problem is essentially this: the caulk has a sensor in it, and it through camera inspections of the rocket, they have been able to determine that it is loose and could potentially come off. This is the same issue that was brought before a mission management team, which evaluates additional risks to the rocket, just a day ago. This happened after Hurricane Nicole passed through and delaminated some of the caulk around the bottom of Orion that connects to those panels. The team has determined that this caulk that encompasses this sensor on Orion is likely to come off after launch. And so the engineering team went and did a full analysis on what that debris trajectory could be once it comes off. And they evaluated that it falls within the same amount of risk that was evaluated by the mission management team a day ago. And so with no additional risk, that constraint has been removed. The engineers going on further to say that the RTV, as was discussed a day ago, is a loose and pliable material that is unlikely to cause a higher risk due to damage. They say it's likely to hit the LVSA, which is the adapter, the cone-shaped adapter that meets Orion and comes down, and the ICPS, and then comes down to the core stage. It is a rigid structure that would be able to withstand the impact of that RTV. So that constraint was just removed after discussion between engineers and the NASA test director, launch director, and mission management chair, Mike Serafin.
RTV. Yes.
And so now we continue on. We are
talking to him in his ear.
We are slipping into the launch window. Currently 9 minutes into the launch window, which ends at 3:04 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah.
The team is currently evaluating the work they have left to do and how much time it will take them to complete it before they can start polling for go. That would normally happen 15 minutes before launch, and we are not ready to resume that polling at this moment.
Wonder why
and
not.
So we are going into the window. The question is, how deep are we going into the window? A rough calculation of the work, and this is a rough calculation, just for the benefit of those who are watching and those who are here to watch the launch, is no earlier than 1:45 a.m.
Nice
That
job.
again is a rough
There you go,
estimation.
Joe.
This work has to be evaluated, calculated, and a new T0 given, and currently at this moment we don't have that. Just want to be real clear about that.
I didn't miss the guess by much, did I?
Good job.
The issue with the range and their radar asset, that has been fixed. And we are awaiting verification of their testing,
Well,
which is
Well,
part of the
they're
flight
still testing it,
termination
it's-
system,
it's-
a critical safety system that allows the 45th Space Wing to send a destruct
On
signal
the
to
NASA
rocket
channel,
should
they've
it
got a guy with some
go in the
really
wrong
cool
direction.
graphics.
Yeah, we saw those earlier, like
That test has not happened. And
before they actually went into the launch top.
although the rocket
Yeah.
is fully tanked, both core stage and upper stage, there's
Well,
still
that's
some
further than
work
they've
to
ever
do
got.
to get it completely configured and ready to go. That's the latest. This is Artemis Launch Control.
Okay, Lewis, Kiri posted up that the Skyuka used to be Scenic Land School,
Hmm,
and
that
He-
is true.
and
And
he
I think in 2014 it was renamed Skyuka and got some more benefactors. As a matter of fact, it looks like they're actually going to get a new school building by next fall. So
oh, awesome. So when's your team start?
you broke up. I'm sorry.
When does your tenure start?
After Thanksgiving break.
Oh, starting in December.
So do we
Awesome.
call you Professor Lee or Dr. Lee?
No, just Mr. Lee. I don't possess a doctorate.
Now, can you handle 25, 30 kids? Mr. Lee, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lee.
Actually, I teach an honors middle school class, which has 6 kids,
6 kids.
and then a 10th grade class, which has 8 kids, and a senior class, which has apparently 5 very lazy geniuses.
So
Oh, they've got senioritis real bad, from what I hear.
well, you know what you do? You like wire tasers into their seats. Like every time they're not paying attention, you just reach down and hit the doorbell.
Oh, he doesn't need to wire it in the seat. All he has to do is have one in his desk drawer, pull it out and pop it a few times. Hey, that gets my attention.
You know what's interesting? I hadn't even thought about it. I don't even have a desk necessarily.
Got a table?
The whole classroom is just three different studios. You've got a TV production studio, which has 3 6K cameras networked together to a computer, all kinds of lights, wireless microphones, real good. Got a bunch of storage. Then you've got an editing suite, and then there's a podcast room. It's a room that's dominated by a conference table, four mics, very similar to this here, and a computer, and a computer console, and 3 very, very small cameras. So we can do a 3-camera podcast shoot and broadcast it live. But yeah, there's no desk for me. I'm pretty much moving around the classrooms the whole time. I mean, I'm sure that I'll probably wind up using that desk in the podcast room as my desk, but the main thing that I'm looking forward to is the teacher's lounge. I've been waiting all my life to get into the teacher's lounge.
Teacher's coffee.
Yeah.
Changing the subject for a second, I'm sitting here looking at this shot of the rocket, and look at the size of the solid rocket boosters as compared to the main rocket, and then realize that those are longer than the solid rocket boosters that were used for shuttle.
Yep.
By a substantial margin.
Mm-hmm. The whole main section.
Yeah, it's a big rocket.
Hmm.
Well, if you hung the shuttle on the side of it, probably.
I'm betting the nose would come to about that first light orange stripe around the side.
I was going to say it'd come equal with the nose cones on the SRBs. But
Maybe. The SRBs, though, on this thing are longer than they were.
right.
Now, how does the diameter or circumference of stage 1 compare to the external fuel tank of the shuttle? Is it smaller, narrower?
Pretty much about the same size.
I mean, compared to the diameter of the solid rocket boosters, it looks like it's a little bit smaller than the external fuel tank.
Well,
might be. This is longer, so that might be an optical illusion because it's longer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Might be.
not sure those boosters.
I will just have to get it up. I've already got one downloaded. All right, I'm gonna pull that up real quick.
All right, here you go. The external fuel tank
Diameter
shuttle.
of the ET was 8.4 meters diameter.
Yes. And
So-
46.9 meters in height. And then let me see if I can find the same one. Oh, here we go.
I'm not finding the
They
parameters for Artemis.
The shuttle engines were just barely above the nozzles of the SRBs, and these are one segment longer. So probably, I don't know, you can't see my.
Okay. It's 8.4 meters in diameter also.
Okay.
Okay, so it's the same.
It's the same, just longer. Like they added sections to the SRBs and the main fuel tank. So.
And if you look up here, there's a picture of the shuttle,
Yeah.
and the SRBs were above the nose.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think the nose would come anywhere close to
No.
the nose cone of these, because these are longer.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking along about. I wish you could
That
see
first
my cursor.
section, the
That
first section right above
first
NASA.
orange stripe, horizontal orange stripe.
No,
I don't think it would be that long.
No.
uh,
I think it would be closer to the last A in NASA.
Yeah, probably that first section right there.
Yeah. Uh huh.
and they took it away because they knew we were talking about it.
No.
Yeah. So, okay, with that cowling on there, how do they get the astronauts in the capsule? I mean, once we...
There's a hatch.
There is a hatch, yeah.
You can't see it
Okay.
from here though.
It's around the side to the left side of the where
There'd be an arm with the gangway and gantry and all that.
that's
Yeah.
just swung back out of the way. Excuse me.
Yeah, they actually loaded the thing up about 3 this afternoon. Yes, Tuesday afternoon.
They wouldn't do that to a live crew though, because there's a limit to how long they'll put them on their backs.
Yeah.
No, they actually would load crew into a fueling rocket, wouldn't they?
Well,
The shuttle was partially fueled when they loaded
Yeah.
them.
yeah.
Well, they've got they got the solid rocket boosters anyway, so fuel isn't that much bigger a deal, other than the fact that it's cold.
That's what a lot of people like about the Falcon with Dragon. When they're loaded in, it's an empty rocket.
So
So
that takes them 30 minutes to fuel it.
35 minutes. 35 minutes from the time they start pumping into the rocket, they hit the go button. If there's any pause, it's a scrub,
And they drain the tank.
and they drain the tank, start all over again. If there's time in the node. And I don't know if y'all remember when they did the crew demo, they called a scrub because of weather. And the crew goes, let's just run the clock all the way down. So that they actually went through the full load with them on, and I think 10 seconds to launch, they canceled it.
So, the SLS, what is its fuel? Is it the RP5 or is it methane
Liquid hydrogen, liquid oxygen.
Yep.
Hydrolox.
Well, I know that's the oxidizer. What's the fuel?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen? Oh,
Think Hindenburg. Oh, no.
let's not.
Yeah, let's not.
Tonight, please. Or not this morning.
Yeah, it is morning, isn't it?
Yeah.
To me, it's still morning.
Good morning, everybody.
It's evening. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Captain.
They keep cutting to a shot of Huntsville, and those people are way too active
For
for it
1
to be
o'clock.
this hour.
Oh, honey,
They're all
you're
waving
talking the Rocket
pom-poms
City
and-
here.
Yeah,
Of
there it
course,
is.
You're talking the Rocket City here. That's that's only a few miles away from where I'm sitting.
Oh, they've got an astronaut mascot in the background dancing around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that what's hanging over them is an actual real Saturn V.
Yeah, I've actually been in that room a couple of times. Love it.
Now, what Apollo mission was that one? Or was that just a mock-up for...
Or never been used.
What, the one that was hanging in the
Yeah.
Davidson Center?
Yeah.
It's one that was never. It was a backup. It does not have all of its internal organs, as it were, so it could not fly. But why is everybody freaking clapping?
That's what I'm wondering. Did they?
Because they knew they were on camera. They said, smile. Oh, what's this guy saying?
You might want to turn this up, Joe. This is the guy we need to talk to.
They only have a few minutes left of work to do before they're ready to pick up polling. And we're also hearing that some of that polling, which kicks off with the mission management team, is also now just about 3.5 minutes away. Now, we are currently still in that hold. But the launch team, NASA's test director, is continuing to move the team forward. We've wrapped up work on the upper stage and the
Now,
lower
that's
stage.
launch-
You're looking now
that's
live
launch control.
inside firing room
Yeah.
1, where launch director Charlie Blackwell Thompson is overseeing her launch team. We've had a number of delays that have put us off the T0,
Now that's
but we
a
are
Canaveral,
starting to
right?
track
That's a Canaveral.
to a
yes.
T0
That building is
They wouldn't
attached
have any
around
reason for all those windows in Houston.
quarter
They're not
till,
gonna
top
see
of
any
the
of that.
hour.
That building is
But we
attached
do-
to the VAB.
Need to
Okay.
have some polling that takes place. I'm pausing now because I'm listening in to the teams as they communicate.
That's the room that caught all the shrapnel in contact.
in this launch window, which we're
Love that movie.
26 minutes into, and it's 2 hours long. It runs until 3:04.
First rule of government spending: why build one
We
when
have
you
what's
can
called
build two
40
at twice the
cutouts.
price?
And in those cutouts, they range from about a second to about a minute. These are times where they can't launch. These cutouts must be accounted for when determining a new T0.
About to cut
The
that
upper
gantry.
stage
There you
of
go.
the
That
rocket,
made no sense
which
to
was
me,
the
and I've
last to get
experienced
ready and
in this business.
configured. Just recently, the team cycled the liquid hydrogen valves, which is required. And they are currently working on the LO2 valves, liquid oxygen valves in the upper stage. That work is almost done.
There he is. Thought we lost you there for a bit, John.
You did.
Okay. Look, they're giant numbers floating in midair.
We are
next
now
to
a
the
minute and a
rocket.
half
No.
away from the pole of the mission management team, which is several minutes before T-minus 15 minutes.
I'd say we're at about T-minus 18.
When
Or
that
about
pole
8.
starts, we'll get a clearer picture of our T0.
I remember one shuttle mission. We actually, excuse me, we actually were running a launch simulation.
NASA's test director has informed the launch team to all switch to a common communication channel. It's called 232.
So that's to begin polling, right?
Correct.
And what this means is that the entire launch team is now on one channel, and all future communication will happen there, whereas there are many channels. Now they
Not
reduce
all.
it down to one.
In the Army, we call that a
for the-
cluster.
Yeah. That's for the go, no go calls.
Yes.
Just heard from NASA test director Carlos Monge. I'm sorry, Jeff Spalding. Jeff Spalding's on. They swapped out. There are currently no constraints to launch.
Yes.
Great news. Again,
Yes.
no constraints to launch. And they're getting ready to pick up with a poll to determine readiness for launch.
The that simulation that I worked, the astronauts were actually in a launch simulator, but it was known to be really persnickety. And so we're halfway into it. You know, we're at like, we're coming up on T-minus 30 seconds, and the simulator starts to crash. It does this slow crashing burn. And so I'm listening as Houston is panicking. You know, it's like, what do we do? What do we do? Play it. Make a go, no go call. And you can hear the Fido's going, oh, he doesn't want to do it. He finally says, abort, abort, abort.
Okay,
and you can just hear the
Test
cringe
Director
in his voice.
Here
Jeff
we go.
Spalding getting ready to conduct the readiness poll, so we are getting close. We're going to pull up the audio now
Yes, please.
so that you can listen in.
Rockets go. All right, copy all. And Launch Director NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed at this time.
I copy all NTD. At this time, I will proceed with my poll. And attention on 232, this is the Launch Director performing the final poll for launch. Verify no constraints and go for launch. EGS Program Chief Engineer.
EGS Program Chief Engineer verifies that the EGS, SLS, and Orion Program Chief Engineers have no constraints and are go for launch.
We're about to
Greg,
cut to
thank
that
you.
camera.
EGS Chief Safety Officer.
The EGS CSO verifies the SLS Orion and EGS CSOs have no constraints and are go for launch.
Copy, John. Thank you.
Huh.
Range weather.
Weather
NASA
has no
took that
constraints
camera.
and weather is go for launch.
Copy, LWO and mission manager.
Somebody wake up the mission manager.
Mission
And
manager.
mission manager, launch director.
Launch Director, Mission Manager on 232. The mission management team has been pulled. You have a go to proceed with terminal count and launch of Artemis I.
Hot damn.
I copy all. Thank
That
you.
was Houston, right?
And NTD, launch director.
Sometimes
Launch Director.
it's in Houston,
Yes,
sometimes it's
sir.
in Huntsville.
On behalf of all the men and women across our great nation who have worked to bring this hardware together to make this day possible, and for the Artemis generation, this is for you. At this time, I give you a go to resume count and launch Artemis I.
Copy, Launch Director, and thank you. All right, we do have a couple of steps to configure, and then we will be ready to resume the clock. CVSE, NTD. CVSE here. Initiate recording of Orion cameras at this time. In work. R, NTD. RSR here. Perform the booster ignition SNA arm rotation enable.
Rotation enable is complete. And I copy. NDT, RSR, booster ignition SNA arm and rotation enable is complete.
And I copy. Thank
Listen
you.
closely, you can hear some of the subordinates in the background.
Okay, so there you heard the poll
those
from
calls.
Launch
All right,
Director.
and all personnel, we are going to resume the clock here momentarily.
So 10 more minutes.
Get that new T0 time.
If they pick the T clock up where they left off.
Well, they said no earlier.
Poll that you heard
than
was the NASA test
1:45.
director's poll.
So 10 minutes would be
All right, and we have verified no cutouts at this time.
1:47.
And all personnel, we are going to resume the clock. GLS, you can resume the clock on your mark.
GLS copies. Countdown clock will resume on my mark. 3, 2, 1. mark.
35,
mainline
36
has been
minutes.
initiated.
Okay,
T-minus 10 minutes and counting.
we are T-minus 10 minutes away from liftoff of Artemis I. As you can see, the clock is now moving. Let's put that up. T-minus 9 minutes and 47 seconds. The L-minus 15
Now
poll
Steph is
practice.
getting excited.
They went
06, 47, 44 is the new
Steph's
So
getting
is
definitely excited.
I remember feeling this way on Apollo 8.
01:47:44, 1:47 a.m. Eastern Time, and 44 seconds.
I managed to be on console for launch for most of the shuttle missions.
We went
that I
straight into
worked.
terminal count.
And the only thing I can think of that is a bigger adrenaline rush would be being
Liftoff
on
now
board
9
the
minutes
bird.
away. So terminal count.
Thank you, Mark.
Control has been given over to the GLS, the ground launch sequencer,
8:50.
a computer and software that is doing all of the commanding and monitoring of the space launch system.
Sorry.
Systems internal.
Lewis, that was that
Yeah.
hatch we were telling you about. That last picture
We'll
they
hear
showed.
call-outs from the GLS operator, Alex Pandalos.
Excuse me.
As well as NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding. GLS is pre-tensioning the umbilicals at this very moment. You can see them as they run down the rocket. That's getting them ready to detach.
They're about to cut to a
At
side.
liftoff,
Yeah,
those
there it
arms
is.
will swing away.
See the
let
hat?
go of the rocket
Yeah.
in a clockwise direction.
It's a big hatch.
Yeah.
I've seen bigger.
T-minus 8 minutes
For
and
a,
counting.
for a spacecraft, that's a pretty good size hatch.
The GLS is performing up to 100 commands per second.
Go, baby.
All right, I'm going to do a
including
quick
configuring ground
test.
systems for
Can
power
y'all still hear
transfer
me?
to the rocket.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
GLS
Yeah.
is turning on cameras, recording video inside and outside.
When
the crew
we
module
get
to
close
collect
to
data
launch,
for
I'm going to flip
engineers.
to that so we can. pulls us off.
Look at our ugly mugs.
Purging the aft skirt booster with
Or
high
you
flow
can put
nitrogen.
row us up along the side.
Clear out any
instead of across
hydrogen
the bottom.
gas that may be there.
That should, yeah. That
All right.
doesn't
We get to see
interfere with
Stephanie
anything. Yeah, well,
And her arms will be.
and what?
You can see the crew access arm is already retracted. When there is crew during Artemis II, it would happen at T-minus 6 minutes. But out of abundance of caution, they went ahead and retracted the arm well ahead of liftoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it up there at the very
I want to
top.
point your attention to the base of the mobile launcher. Something wasn't done to reduce the power from the pressure caused by the rocket's ignition and thunderous sound. It could damage the rocket. So the ignition overpressure and sound suppression system will flood the mobile launcher with water. You'll see that sequence start at T-minus 17 seconds.
Blast deflector.
What now?
The big metal plates right there in the center of the landing.
Now coming up in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's
ground
sort of
launch
a blast
sequencer will start
deflector
bringing
down
the high
into
energy
the
systems online.
And the flame
Starting with
trench will
core
run
stage
under the rocket and out the back. Behind the tower.
Ooh, excuse me.
Bless you.
I think I'm allergic to hydrogen.
Fire Room 1 is
You smell hydrogen?
completely silent as they listen for the next call.
Just under 6 minutes.
GLS is go for core stage tank pressurization.
The core stage tank is now pressurizing to flight levels. The replenish valve to the liquid hydrogen tank now closing. The liquid oxygen tank will come a little later. Now we're arming the Orion ascent pyros and transfer to internal power.
I got some serious adrenaline going, guys.
Me too. Me too.
The launch abort system, or LAS jettison motor.
Now, how long is it going to take to get to lunar orbit? 2 days?
Because there is no crew on board. Up next is the flight termination system, or FTS, which gives the Space
I think they're going to do
the ability to destruct the rocket
2 or 3 orbits of Earth and then do the TLI. I think it's like 3 or 4 days to
GLS is go
lunar.
for FTS arm.
The flight termination system is now armed. Coming up at 4 minutes and 40 seconds, a big moment. This is where the RS-25 engines and their bleed go to high flow. It's been a little tricky to dial in.
Yeah, you don't want cavitation
GLS is go for LH2 high flow bleed check.
I'm just not used to seeing a flare at NASA. When did they start doing that?
Because of the hydrogen.
Good word. We've passed that.
Because of hydrogen, yeah, that's been
The
they've been
cryo
doing
team
that
got
for
the
years.
LH2 engine bleed pressure loop dialed in.
Good.
They are now at the right temperature for launch. Countdown
Yes.
continues. T-minus 4 minutes, 15 seconds. Up next, GLS fires up the
Wasn't
KPUs.
that one of the
These are
scrub
high-speed turbines
when the,
which provide pressure to
engines
hydraulic
didn't
pumps
4
to
minutes.
steer the
Spool properly?
RS-25s. Stands for Core Stage Auxiliary Power Unit Start.
GLS is go for core stage APU start.
That now leads to the thrust vector control test at T-minus 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That can proceed now, and we will see the engines gimbal at the bottom of the core stage.
I hope they got a good camera.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah, me too. I have a cat over here on the arm of my chair
3:30.
who wants attention so bad, and I'm so focused on this.
At T-minus 3 minutes and 10 seconds, you will hear the go for purge sequence 4. That's a helium purge of the 4 core stage engines downstream of the propellant valve, getting the air and moisture out.
That's a beautiful view right there. I love
it
that.
is.
Shame that it's just not a little
GLS
bit
is
better
go for
illuminated.
purge sequence 4.
And in just a few seconds,
3
GLS
minutes.
will close the core stage LOX vent, liquid oxygen. The white vapor cloud caused from the super cold gaseous oxygen condensing the water in the atmosphere will disappear. You see it coming out there now. And there it goes. It's closed.
Oop.
LOX vent closed. Pressure rising in the core stage LOX tank.
Look, Joe, it's farting.
Yeah.
There's the gimbal. And go.
Roll. Let's see the left, right.
Chugging like a steam engine.
2 minutes. Looks like I'm 5 seconds ahead of you guys.
I just realized I need to have the TV on the right channel.
$130.
Come on, baby.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
I see all the drones are backing off.
Well, yeah. Oh man, you don't want a drone in the wrong place at this point.
Come on, baby. Let's light this candle.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's the picture we want right there.
And light that candle. Boom.
Sparklers.
That's exactly what they are, yeah.
Water.
There goes the suppression system.
Flames.
There it goes.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Go, go, go!
Go, baby, go.
All 4 RS-25 engines on the core stage and 2 solid rocket boosters now propelling the vehicle at 128 miles per hour.
Look at that beautiful thing fly.
Oh, man. It's already doing 128 miles an hour.
Mission Control Houston, all good calls so far. Now 30 seconds into the flight of Artemis I. First milestone will be for the vehicle to pass through max Q at about 1 minute.
Ooh, nice hydrogen flame.
Bring up the volume a little.
SLS now traveling 607 miles per hour. 607 miles per hour. You're looking at 8.8 million pounds of maximum. You're looking at 8.8 million pounds of maximum thrust quiet here in the loops in mission control. 4 core stage engines throttling down ahead of passing through max Q. Now 1 minute 21 seconds into the flight, traveling at 1,420 miles per hour. Now 1 minute 21 seconds into the flight, traveling at 1,420 miles per hour. The 4 core stage engines are back at maximum thrust. Solid rocket boosters to cut off and jettison in about 2 minutes. The next major milestone will be for the solid rocket boosters to cut off and jettison about 2 minutes and 11 seconds into the flight, so about 30 seconds from now. Again, quiet here in Mission Control Houston as teams continue monitoring the flight of Artemis I. We're now 16 miles downrange from the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center, traveling over 2,800 miles per hour.
Over 2,800 miles an hour already.
Standing by for solid rocket booster jettison and shortly
there they go.
thereafter.
There, SRB SEP.
Solid rocket boosters have separated these 177-foot boosters.
Confirmation that the solid rocket boosters have separated these 177-foot boosters.
25 engines firing.
Now the core stage continues to power the flight of Orion, all four RS-25 engines firing, traveling over 3,400 miles per hour, 46 miles downrange.
This was the point at which we always started
2 minutes and 36 seconds into the flight.
Engines on the core stage.
Hearing nominal calls here in Mission Control Houston. We've still got 4 good engines on the core stage. Next up, we'll be looking for the service module fairing to separate. This is 3 15 by 15 foot fairing panels, providing structural support, protecting the service module. Those will separate at about 3 minutes and 11 seconds into flight, and very shortly thereafter will be followed by the launch abort
Just
system
over 3 minutes
separation.
into the flight of Artemis I, now traveling.
Just over 3 minutes into the flight of Artemis I, now traveling over 4,060 miles per hour, 83 miles downrange. We just had confirmation that the service module fairing has separated. And that the launch abort system pyros have fired, separating those from Orion as well.
Excellent.
For future crew members.
Now's when they get their first look.
Yeah.
What happened? I lost audio.
We just heard the call for 3 engine press, meaning if SLS were to lose an engine at this point in the mission, we could still achieve a nominal mission. We would just have an extended main engine cutoff time. However, we still have 4 good engines, all at maximum thrust right now, powering the first flight of Artemis at 5,200 miles per hour, 148 miles downrange.
So that's why we have switched over to animation, because it's too far away to see now.
Yeah.
And we're only 4.25 minutes after.
We're 4
launch.
minutes and 16 seconds into the flight of Artemis I.
Like she was correcting
so far,
you.
We've had a clean ascent. We saw those solid rocket boosters jettison about 2 minutes and 11 seconds after liftoff. Shortly after, we had the service module panels fairings separate, as well as the launch abort system. The launch abort system was inert for this flight, except to perform this separation. Those 4 core stage engines will continue to fire and power the flight of Artemis I, now traveling over 6,800 miles per hour, 229 miles downrange.
A real world test of it.
Booster flight controller reports
don't
that
they have
the engines are looking good.
In the cockpit?
They've already had that test.
No, I thought they were going to have.
Our core stage main engine cutoff time is about 8 minutes and 3 seconds. We are now 5 minutes and 11 seconds into the flight, 7,656 miles per hour.
But they did the launch abort test in
Again,
White
4
Sands.
good core stage engines, those 4 RS-25 engines.
It pulls the canopy off of the capsule.
The last time those core stage engines flew, they were taking space shuttles to orbit, and now with upgraded capabilities, they're launching the future of human spaceflight. Five minutes and 42 seconds into the mission, we are now traveling 8,800 miles per hour, 345 miles downrange from the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center.
Wow.
Again, we are anticipating core stage main engine cutoff at about 8 minutes and 3 seconds. And about 10 seconds later, we'll see core stage separation, at which point Orion and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage will be flying free. Now traveling over 10,000 miles per hour, 6 minutes and 15 seconds into the flight of Artemis I, 427 miles downrange. Quiet here on the loops in Mission Control Houston. Teams continue to monitor this first flight.
5 years behind schedule, but we are doing it now.
Acceleration, guys.
About a minute and a half now until that core stage main engine cutoff time. Our 4 core stage engines continue to fire at maximum thrust.
The acronym is MECO, main engine cutoff.
Yep.
Saw open. I don't know what that
Coming
is.
up on 7 minutes since launch today, now traveling over 12,800 miles per hour, 563 miles downrange. Again, still quiet here in Mission
solar
Control
array
Houston.
wings, right?
Yeah. That would be best, yeah.
As we prepare for main engine cutoff, the 4 RS-25 engines are beginning to throttle down. "30 seconds now until core stage main engine cutoff. All 4 engines continue to throttle down. Now 7 minutes 45 seconds into the flight, traveling over 16,000 miles per hour.
See, now I do like
Continuing to hear
SpaceX
good calls
because
here in
they've
Mission
got
Control
all the
Houston.
telemetry on the screen.
We're standing by for core stage main engine cutoff.
And cameras on the rocket.
Yeah.
And we have confirmation of core stage main engine cutoff. Orion, and it's now in Earth's orbit.
Yes.
The flight dynamics officer reports that we have a nominal main engine cutoff. And we just heard the call for core stage separation. That means Orion and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage are now flying free from the core stage of the Space Launch System. The next milestone will be solar array deploy approximately 18 minutes after liftoff. But before Orion stretches its wings, let's check back in with our friends at Kennedy Space Center and hear all about what it was like to hear the rocket roar off the launch pad. Megan and Kayla, I've got to hear all about it.
Well, if you're just joining us, welcome to NASA's Kennedy Space Center, where we just watched Artemis I launch, our first step towards our next adventure into deep space. As Leah said, I'm NASA's Megan Cruz, and this is NASA astronaut Kayla Barron. And I'm kind of still giddy and speechless. I don't even know how to explain how I'm feeling right now.
I feel the same way. This is the first launch that I've been able to watch in person. And I've got to say, it was incredible. It took my breath away and I was tearing up. Just what an amazing accomplishment for this team, this international team, people who have been dedicating their careers to getting this rocket off the ground and taking the first step to getting a crew on that vehicle back to the moon. It was just incredible.
Yeah, this is a moment I think that we're all going to remember where we were when we saw this sort of thing, you know what I mean? And it was great to see, again, when we entered into terminal count, everybody here just started cheering, coming out to get a really good view. And boy, I mean, it lit up the night sky and it just shook everything around us. Did you feel that? Like in my bones, I felt that.
Oh yeah.
I watched the shuttle launch.
The cool thing is
like
just kind of the delay between what you see and what you hear, because of course the sound travels a little bit slower.
And then as it went further away, it started descending again.
We could hear the thrust pushing that rocket into space. 8.8
it looked like a sun rising.
Yes,
it's incredible. It was amazing to see here live in person.
How does it compare? So this is your first launch on the ground. How does it compare to your launch when you're in the capsule soaring towards space?
I mean, equally emotional, I think. We train for everything, and so when we're in that capsule waiting for launch, we're just running our procedures. You could almost, trick us and say that we were in the simulator and it wasn't real, but like in that moment of liftoff, when the thrust builds underneath you, like we saw it today, it's just hard not to be overwhelmed by the emotional experience, the excitement, the joy of that moment. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think we can't say it enough. This team really deserved this moment. They've been working so hard for this moment. When I heard that we got into terminal count, it was, I felt a sense of relief and excitement for them that I think everybody here did. We really wanted them to succeed. We really wanted to see the launch today. And wow, I will never forget this.
Me either. It was an incredible experience to be here and see that happen.
Yeah. Was there anything that was particularly surprising to you? Again, this is your first launch. What were you expecting?
I think we also had a nighttime launch for our launch. And so I think one thing you underestimate is how much it lights up the night sky.
Yes.
We were able to watch it all the way through that trajectory. We were able to see the boosters separate and everything. So it was just an incredible view. It's amazing how much you get to see of the flight path when it's at night and sliding up the sky.
Yeah, and
a friend of mine lives on the Outer Banks. He said he was going to try to get some shots of it tonight.
I'd love to know if he made it, if he managed it.
I was like, oh my God, that's so poetic.
I've watched it. I've seen it all the way down in South Florida.
Wow.
Congratulations to the It's incredible.
We're gonna head over to Daryl, who was at the launch team. Daryl, you
I've
got to
seen
count
it
us down through that
from parking
liftoff.
lots
I mean, how was
at
that
Disney
team
World.
launch,
I've seen it from
launch,
hotels in
control
Orlando. Like up.
Well,
That
Megan,
was
it
kind of
was,
neat because I
it
was
was something else, I
up
gotta tell
on
you.
a
Looking
high
live inside the
rise,
firing room where Charlie
looking
Blackwell
out the window and
Thompson is about to
watching the
address
shuttle
her
plume.
team after a whole lot of hard work and preparation to get to this moment.
I've seen it
Stand
from
by and listen
within
to
the
her
parks.
now.
All right, Charlie's fixing to speak.
Comm check. But you can't hear it in the room. Can you guys hear me? No.
Well, it happens.
The room can't.
Lewis is has been in that situation.
Oh, every way.
Why do I expect her to reach under the desk, pull out a bullhorn?
That's what Gene Kranz would have done, wouldn't it,
Yes.
Steph?
Probably, yeah.
Listen up.
Work the problem, people.
Work the problem.
She wants
Well,
to make
nice
a
to see
historic
NASA
statement,
got
and
a
they
Christmas
keep.
present. So that's
Yeah, boy.
She didn't want anybody to miss it. She probably got something prepared.
Yeah.
Probably spent 2 hours writing up this little speech.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no offense, but Gene Kranz would have made that microphone work.
He's here.
You would have willed it into working.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay, listen.
Can you guys hear me? Oh, there we go. Is he ready for me?
Applause for a mic check. Okay, it's an easy crowd.
Well, for once, I might be speechless.
Nah.
I doubt it.
So you guys know I have talked a lot about appreciating the moment that you're in. And we have worked hard as a team. You guys have worked hard as a team for this moment. This is your moment. It is not by chance that you are here today. So I want you to look around at this team and know that you have earned it. You have earned your place in the room. You have earned this moment. You have earned your place in history.
I love how half the people are paying attention.
You
to
were
what she's
part
saying,
of a first.
and the other half
didn't come along very often.
Well,
once in a career, maybe.
Yeah, at this
but
point,
we are all part of something incredibly special. The first launch of Artemis.
Is about to shut down. Their job is done. As soon as the call is made,
first step in returning
the
our
rocket has
country
cleared the tower
to the moon,
it hands over to Houston
and on to Mars. What you have done today will inspire generations to come. So thank you. Thank you for your resilience. You know, I said at the pre-test briefing, the harder the climb, the better the view. We showed the Space Coast tonight. What a beautiful view it is. So congratulations. So we got a couple of traditions here in launch control. And the first one is when you're in the position for the first time, you get a tie cutting. And so
I'd forgotten about that.
Have my launch director scissors. And I'm going to get my tie cut by a couple of legends that are here. And then anyone who wants their tie cut will be making the rounds in the firing room. You got your console chiefs. If they want to do it, that's fine. If you want me to do it, you might have to wait a little while, but I'll stay all night if I have to. It'll be my pleasure to cut ties. So I'm going to get going to take care of mine, and then I have one other presentation that I want to make this evening.
So does NASA approve the tie cutting scissors, or are they just something they bought at Walmart?
They look pretty official.
It's whatever. It's you get it out of supply office, whatever the
So
office.
it's a GSA
supply.
scissors. They're not going to cut those ties. Told you. Oh, no, they made it. Oh, hey, they're solid steel scissors. They're not plastic handled. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
This is
were
Charlie
those were
Blackwell
bought on a
Thompson,
government
Artemis
budget
I launch director. She just got
using
her tie
procurement.
cut. That is a
They're probably
tradition
about
here at
$800.
NASA.
$800 scissors, yeah.
We just got to hear her talk to the team, and one thing that really stuck out to me that she said is that they've really earned their place in history.
I wonder if they
Coming up
get
on
per
solar
diem
array
for cutting
deploy.
the
Let's go
ties.
on to Leah.
Get a new tie issued or something like that.
Thanks, Megan. And yes, we're here in Mission Control Houston, still monitoring the Artemis I mission and the first flight of Orion atop the Space Launch System. So far, we saw successful liftoff at 1:47 a.m. Eastern Time, all the way through separation from the core stage. We now have Orion and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage flying
That's the
free.
fastest they ever got SLS off the
We
pad.
have initiated solar array deploy. So we are turning
That's
our
the
focus
first time they
to
got the SLS off.
spacecraft was
Up
running on
until
battery
now, it's
power,
taken the
but
better part of
stretching
the
its
day to
wings
drive it back to
will
the
allow it to
VAB.
stop relying on those batteries
They
and
have
significantly extend the time
initiated
to stay
solar
in
array
space.
deploy. So the baby
So
is
solar array
the
deploy
baby
takes
is
about 12
in
minutes.
orbit
We have 4
Now-
solar arrays
and
that we
stretching
need
her
to
wings.
deploy and latch. These will
Joe,
provide
Stephanie,
power to
do
the
we know
spacecraft
who
on its
built
journey to distant
this,
retrograde
I guess,
orbit and
service
all the way back
module
to
with the
Earth.
wings in it?
Once these are properly configured, again,
European
Orion will
Space
no longer
Agency.
need to
Oh, then
rely
they'll work.
solely on battery power.
Yeah.
And we expect this to be done about 30 minutes. after the
Peter
launch.
Beck.
Right now,
If
we're
it's
19
Northrop
minutes since liftoff
Grumman,
today.
it's a little iffy.
Orion is now traveling
Peter Beck, the
17,175
president
miles per
of
hour.
Rocket Lab, says a defining in human
continuing to hear good
exploration
calls here in
beyond
Mission
Earth.
Control Houston
Congrats,
from the flight
NASA,
controllers monitoring
congrats
the
to
mission.
NASA
A little bit about
and
the
all
solar
who made
arrays as
Artemis
we
1
wait.
possible.
Again, we heard the call that the deploy has been initiated. We'll hear a little bit more about that once they start to unfold.
Guys,
these 4 solar arrays generate 11
it's been a
kilowatts of
pleasure
power,
and an
which is
honor.
enough electricity to power
Stephanie,
2
it's always
3-bedroom
fun to have
houses,
you when they're
and they have a
launching
wingspan
rockets.
of 63 feet. Just one
Yeah.
of these
Wait,
systems
wait
of
until you
excited.
watch this
Panels
again
has,
tomorrow and see your face again.
1,250
That's
solar
rocket.
cells. So you're looking
Was
at
it
a
was it
total
that
of
good?
It was that
3,000
good.
solar cells.
Yeah.
Now we just
And
heard the call that
especially
all 4
watch it
solar arrays
again
have
just
been
for that
released. So we
opening.
initially heard the initiation call.
For
Yeah.
anybody
Been
who missed
sent,
that
and now
opening,
those 4
you
solar
definitely
arrays
got
are
to
really
released.
wanna-
Again, this is
again.
about a 12-minute process.
Oh, there's the.
These solar arrays will deploy
Is this a
straight.
picture or an
You're getting
animation?
a live view right now. This is really exciting.
That was.
They'll
No,
initially
it's an
slow
that's an
back
animation.
That's an
vehicle
animation, but just a
prior
second
to
it. There it is.
translunar injection
Oh,
burn
wow.
to prevent any
That's live
loads
view right
from
there.
breaking or
They
damaging
do have
the
a camera
arrays.
on board.
And on the end of each
Killer.
solar array is a
Probably
camera
on
that will
the
capture
solar
imagery
panels.
for us throughout
Yeah.
the mission, along with a few
Yeah, it
other
looks like it was
cameras
attached to the end of the
inside
solar
spacecraft
panel, which
to
would
help
be
us monitor and
perfect
perform
place to put
various
one.
other
For
inspections.
2
Yeah.
reasons. One,
because then you
can
could
see rocket
shoot
from
the.
out there, and 2, you'd be able to see
Of
the
course,
solar
if you
panel.
recall the Apollo capsule design, there were
Here
no
we go
solar
again.
arrays. We had fuel cells instead. So
Oh
this
man,
design with arrays
Pretty,
gives us the
pretty.
opportunity
Eye
to
candy.
stay in orbit longer.
I
since we
used to
practically
sit
have no limit to
in
the
the
energy
control
available
center
for
at
use
Marshall
from the
Space
sun.
Flight Center, right in front of the big screen.
Coming up on
And
21 minutes
I used
since
to
liftoff.
when things were quiet,
Orion
which of
is
course we
attached to the
always
interim
wanted them to
cryogenic
be
propulsion
quiet
stage.
because
You can
that
see
meant
those 4
things were
solar
going well.
arrays unfolding now.
I
And
would
again,
sit
Artemis
back
I is
and
a
I would
flight
watch
test
the
paving
Earth
the way
view
for a sustainable presence
scroll
at the moon.
across the big
Looking
screen,
forward to the future gateway will be
and
our
that
space station
was
in lunar
I called
orbit.
it eye
And we have
candy,
some
and that
similarities and
was
differences in the solar
the
arrays
most
unfolding right now on
beautiful,
Orion and those that'll be on
just
Gateway.
utterly,
So like
utterly
we've seen
gorgeous
now,
view
these
of
are
Earth,
deploying
constantly
autonomously, and Gateway
changing.
solar arrays will as well.
It made for
And while these generate those 11
a
kilowatts of power, 2
relaxing few
roll-out solar
moments
arrays or ROSAs
whenever
on
I got to
Gateway
do that.
will generate
Oh,
60
they were
kilowatts of
maneuvering.
power.
Saw the
That
I saw
jet.
that too.
currently being tested aboard the space station station. We have 2 new ones installed and a
The heck are
spacewalk
they doing
conducted
with the
earlier
camera?
today, preparing for another set.
That is gorgeous.
What a view.
Coming up on 22 minutes since liftoff today, Orion and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage traveling over 16,800 miles per hour. The solar arrays deploying now are part of the European
They
service
have to
module
fire the
that
retros while they're
20,000
deploying the
Arc
solar
components.
panels.
The service module was developed as part of an agreement between NASA
Well,
and the European
they may have to maneuver into a particular position.
This is the first time NASA is using a European-built system as a critical element to power an American spacecraft.
What if there's like a power takeoff unit that they take some of the rocket thrust and use it to kick the solar panels out there?
Oh, I forgot. There aren't two wings. It's an X-wing.
Yeah, it's 4 wings.
It's an X-wing. the Empire's in trouble now.
Da 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 da. That's in, son.
Coming up on a beautiful view.
I'm trying to see where their tracking shows it.
Looks like it's over the
Mediterranean.
Indian Ocean.
Oh, it's already that far?
Yep. According to that center monitor.
Yeah.
Coming up on Australia. Fast. Yep, right there.
Right
coming
in
up
there.
on Australia. You read it the same way, Steph?
I can't.
Coming up now,
If it would stay still long enough.
Flight of Artemis I spacecraft now
Yeah,
traveling
whoever's on the switcher just needs to get off the coffee, man.
around the Earth. We are in solar array deployed, and we have confirmation. all
I'm
four
guessing this
arrays
is
are
automatic. Nobody's actually paying attention to the feed. Okay.
Yeah, everybody's probably looking at their monitors.
Yeah, if you look at those screens up top.
Well, PAO is supposed to be paying attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up in a little less
So
than 30
There's
minutes.
two
is the
screens
energy
on the
race
very
maneuver.
top, on either side of where it says Mission Control Center, and those are the ones that keep flashing the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what
But
I
that gives you.
From what I understand, the propulsion stage, after it separates, it'll make another burn and put it into a solar orbit.
Okay.
They're not going to crash it into the moon like.
Well, to be honest, they actually, a couple years back, they actually found the Snoopy lunar module.
They found
It
its
didn't-
orbit. Yeah.
No, they found it. They found it, and they
with our
they first thought it was an asteroid.
1:41 Eastern time this morning. We are looking for a perigee raise maneuver about 53 minutes.
And it's still
into,
orbiting the moon, right? It's just a
today's
really
flight.
weird
Again,
orbit.
No,
we're
it's
now
in a solar
5 minutes
orbit
and
now,
47
but it's
seconds
in
into
it
the flight, and we have a complete
very closely
deployment
matches
of all four
Earth's
solar arrays.
to within just a couple of
Orion's
kilometers
journey to
per
the moon
second
continues
velocity.
as planned. Again, looking forward
Because
to
what was
that.
the
And
one
that's
that
the
was
problem.
orbiting? There was one that was orbiting the
Again, at about
moon,
53 minutes
and they
into
thought
the
it had gone
mission,
out into
so
deep
about
space, and they
27
found it. It was
minutes
still
from
orbiting the
now.
moon.
And then it came back.
During the perigee raise maneuver, the interim
And
cryogenic
they
propulsion
said some of the
stage
orbits, they did
uses
a
an engine to lift the lowest point of Orion and
trajectory
That was
on it.
actually an Apollo
Current orbit
stage.
is more of an oval shape than a perfect
And
circle.
there were a
This
couple
will
times
raise
where
that
it
point
had
closest to
orbited
Earth,
like
making
within
the orbit
150
more
feet of the moon's
circular.
surface.
This will also include a
It
checkout
got
of
it come in that close across the lunar
It
surface.
will be a short burn, less than 30 seconds long, but critical to
They
keep the sun
believe the
check.
Apollo
And it also prepares us for the next
11
engine burn to
module
send
is
Orion
still
to
in
the moon.
orbit
That's
around the moon.
translunar injection burn. That'll come up a little later,
The
which
lunar
is a
module?
longer burn.
Yeah.
Another firing of the RL-10 engine on the interim cryogenic propulsion stage.
Because that one was supposed to impact.
Yeah, well, it did.
Whoops.
Of course, Elon says, got something we can go get. Starship.
Yep.
It says there's a camera on the tip of each panel and one on the nose.
For solar arrays properly deployed.
Now, Steph, if Snoopy was in Earth's orbit and got in our way, those things were built light enough. It should burn up on entry,
It
shouldn't
should, yeah, it should.
It'd be a flash. It wouldn't even be it wouldn't even be a re-entry. It'd just be.
The problem is that's just that much more space debris to keep up with.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
For us on the ground, no problem. For guys in orbit, not so much.
Never gets old. That is always one of the coolest things you'll ever see in your entire life.
They got
Remind me the next time we build an international space station to put bigger thrusters on it to dodge all this crap.
So cool. All right.
Well, just remember you gotta refuel the thrusters periodically too.
Moon,
we need shields.
Dawn of time.
Lasers.
Have looked at the sky and shouted at our neighbor, "I'm going to walk in your face." And in the 60s, we actually did it.
Probably be looking at that on the next space station.
Starting with Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Apollo 11, 1969, followed by.
Oh, now this is
more
cool. They're actually showing the
landings,
spots.
Each time delivering 2 human beings to the surface of the moon.
I was 9.5 years old when we landed on the moon.
17, and that was in 1972. Gene Cernan. And
I hadn't quite turned 9 yet.
Now, we have not sent humans back since then, but they accomplished a lot under Apollo. Lots of technological advancements.
What's missing?
Science instruments brought back
13.
pounds.
13.
Didn't
quite land.
Not quite.
The moon is fascinating.
That was a definite.
But don't say that to Lovell. He's sensitive about it.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, Lovell was also originally planned to be
that are constantly
commander of Apollo 18.
So everything out there is really old. In fact, one of
the funding got cut.
Apollo 15
so he got cheated out of the moon twice.
Well,
but he was one of the first 3 men to see the backside. So he's always got that.
Their spacewalks in just
Nixon
hours.
absolutely hated JFK,
and we're looking to stay.
And
we're not looking around
he would have canceled the whole thing immediately if he thought he could have gotten away with it.
At the lunar South Pole. Now,
probably.
Why? So we haven't sent people since the 70s to the
All right, I got a hair appointment and a half in a couple hours. So.
Like the Lunar Reconnaissance
All right, thank you, Lewis, for jumping in.
Knows I need it. Yeah, it was fun, guys.
I hope this is a great memory for history.
Yes.
You were actually with friends and world.
Of those sites. We had a mission called Elfrog.
Yep.
Slammed a probe.
Thanks a lot.
See y'all.
Good night.
Good night, Lewis.
Some of what potentially hadn't seen direct sunlight for billions.
I'm here as long as you want to run it, Joe. You know that. Steph is like wired at this point.
There is water ice.
Is that Huntsville?
Shadowed areas on the moon.
No, that's
A lot of
Houston.
them
No.
Center around that South Pole. We have already identified 13 potential landing sites for the Artemis III mission. And these are where we're going to send our astronauts around the lunar South Pole to access that water ice. Now, why water? Why are we caring about water? Well, it serves a lot of purposes. Obviously, for humans, you need that to breathe. You can split water apart, get oxygen for breathing gas for an atmosphere. If you have a lunar base, you can split it into oxygen and hydrogen. That's rocket fuel. We just launched the most powerful rocket in history using those constituent parts. And so you can start to live off the land.
Saturn used kerosene, didn't
something
it?
called in situ resource utilization. And really, the whole point of that is to use the moon as this proving ground. We're trying to get to Mars. We're trying to learn to live on other planets where there is gravity, where we're going to have to use resources there on the ground because we won't be able to bring
Somebody
everything
jump back
with us.
in.
And by going to the lunar South Pole,
I totally forgot something, guys.
What?
Perfect those systems.
I ordered something from Amazon.
We need to do that.
Check this
We can
out.
Use the moon as that jumping off point to Mars and beyond.
That flag looks familiar.
That's why the moon.
It won't.
We're going to see Orion fly around it for the very first time in just a couple of days.
48 stars.
Nope.
Nope.
Count again.
You excited, but can't wait to see some shots of the
What
moon.
is it?
49.
Oh, 49.
I was born under this flag, January 1960. Alaska had been admitted. The 49-star flag was raised for the first time July 4th, 1959. And the 50-star flag didn't go up until July 4th, 1960. So for 1 year, we flew this flag, and I got it. And I'm going to bring it with me to Hawaii, and I'm going to stand in front of the State House, and I'm going to say, nanner, nanner, boo, boo, I'm older than you.
You guys had to go in there to what's called the blast.
You know, strangely enough, that is one of my pet peeves about war movies and old, like, cowboy movies where they show the cavalry force.
Yeah.
Is they always have the wrong flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I could say is
Yeah, but I mean, from 1912 until that flag was raised, we had the 48-star flag.
In the test team, and
we had that one for a year, and then it's been 61 years that we've been flying the 50-star.
Billy was saying that he's been a red crew team.
Interesting thing, we had to get all the flags ready for July parade.
So I know for us,
you got a flag for every state and the territories.
Robotics operations, you really want to put that training into practice.
So we're in the flag room, we're pulling them out, and we're checking to make sure there's nothing wrong with them staying or anything like that.
It's surreal to me. Insane.
And one guy grabbed the American flag and had a tag
so
on
you
it.
get there,
He was like, well,
and
he
what
pulls
is
it
it
off,
just like
pulls
game
it out,
time,
and
and
says,
you really
there's nothing wrong with this flag. It's in pretty good shape. I got to looking. It was the 49 state flag.
Wow.
The 49-star flag.
These are the red team. These are the red team.
It's the rescue.
Oh, wow.
It's the rescue
it's
team.
alive, freaking, it's making venting noises. It's
So wonder he can sit with those cojones.
Really?
Yeah, boy.
Well, you see how he's leaning back the way he is. That's why.
Yeah, we showed up today.
Just down your bum.
They were telling us a bit about it while you were working on it. You guys were actually just torquing down the valve to prevent or reduce the leak rate or stop the leak. Is that right?
That's right.
Graphic?
Just the packing gland is a little loose, so went up there and tightened her up.
Joe,
you're probably still like
is that our
in
Went up
this
there, tightened her up.
moment, like
No,
all
that's
of us
our
are.
graphic there.
You know, has
Pouring nothing to it. Yeah, I'm
role
having a.
played today in making Artemis 1 launch?
poor old Lewis down there doing it.
You know, I still can't. Like, it's like I said, it's surreal and just amazing.
Those are the heroes right there.
Yep.
Yep.
Wait a minute. What about the guy that changed out the Ethernet?
Anything you want to say to the launch team? Again, this is a big day for
It's IT.
Yeah, but you know what?
That's
guys,
IT, yeah.
NASA, but really the whole world. I
See,
mean, this
these
is a
guys went out on the pad
member.
with
We'll all
hydrogen
remember, really.
tank, with liquid
You know, we
oxygen
had
tank,
a lot of
With a
people
metal
there.
wrench.
with a
lot of
metal
teams,
wrench.
Flying room. I'm sure that was hectic. And, you know, NASA, Boeing, all the other companies did a great job. And we're glad to be part of it.
One thing I always like to say is spaceflight is a team sport, and I think you
Now,
guys perfectly
he's the
demonstrated
new
that
guy.
today,
He's
right?
like the face of
none
the
of
red
us can
team.
accomplish this on
Yeah.
our own.
The guy
It
in the
takes a
hat, he's the guy
really
that actually does the
complex
guy in the
team. Nobody
hat,
can be an expert. in
Yeah,
all
the
the
two other
systems.
guys
These
are
guys
the
actually doesn't
all
work.
the
Yeah.
workarounds
The
you
guy
have
in
to
the
do to get a
back,
rocket off the
that's
pad.
the good old
So thank
boy
you
that
for the
knows
role you played
exactly
in
how
that
to
team
get the
today.
thing
It's
fixed.
awesome.
And he's just taking the new kids along with
I
him to
appreciate
do
you
the
coming by
work.
to talk with us.
Yeah, the guy in the green shirt's the other guy. The guy that had the harness and everything on, that was the safety man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Megan. And it has been a pretty smooth ride so far. And we are now.
All right,
again, like,
folks.
coming
Goodbye
up
for
on
real this time.
Good
All right,
night.
sure. Thanks again.
Oh, no, thank you, man. It was fun. Steph, real pleasure having a pro on the panel.
Thank you much.
Bye-bye.
It was fun to be on the panel. Good night.
Congratulations.
Wait a minute, huh?
What?
Well, that sounded like a dig towards me and John.
No. I meant
I think
a
he meant
NASA
the
pro.
space
Okay.
stuff.
You and John have never worked for NASA.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. But hey, Lewis, congratulations on the job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll let you know if I hate it.
It's a
I
job.
don't think I
you're
will.
supposed to.
Oh, and Lewis, I remember you said something to me Sunday while we were settling up. I just where you were on that progress for submitting that.
the first time that we're going to be live streaming digital video from its spacecraft back down to the Earth from the vicinity of the moon. That's never
AAC.
What we'll be transmitting live streaming.
Oh, yeah.
You don't forget about it.
Yeah, I need to get to work on that.
All right.
Okay, thanks for reminding me.
All right. Thank you.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We're going to be monitoring anything that we can see with the cameras for spacecraft performance. The imagery teams at NASA are
They
composed
showed the layout of how the crew rides in that thing, and all 4 of them were laying in the bottom of it.
engineers, technicians, analysts.
Yeah.
If we can see it, we're going to try and keep an eye on it. Imagery has been invaluable throughout the history of NASA. We flew cameras on Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, all of that stuff that we saw with the astronauts around the moon. It helps us detect
RP1 is, you were talking about the kerosene earlier. RP1 was the official name.
Right. It's the
of the
refined
fuel.
kerosene.
Yeah.
It's pretty much nearly jet fuel.
Very close, yeah.
Well, jet fuel's close to diesel, so that's, RP1 would be a lot cleaner than jet fuel.
Like the red team
Yeah.
that Megan and Kayla just got to interview. A really big thanks to them and
You know,
everyone.
the military.
I knew I couldn't for the life of me remember the name of the official name of the fuel.
The military switched all their diesel vehicles over to JP8,
Orion and talk about some of the science
which
that
jet plane 8. The Abrams runs it, the helicopters run it, so they basically just tuned up all the diesel engines to run JP8. So they only have to carry one fuel with them where
that works. Makes sense.
Now, technically, a lot of their multi-fuel engines, the diesels, you could run them on corn oil if you know how to reprogram the thing. So,
Yeah, it just really means that it's not a primary objective.
why does your Humvee smell like French fries?
Relying on the success of these CubeSats for
I wish I thought it smelled that good when they're using the used the used oil, cooking oil for fuel.
data to support other research objectives.
Yeah, and I know battery life was a concern for.
I want that lunar moon model on the corner of the desk. I want that thing.
Oh, the moon. Oh, wait, is that lamp that rotates, Joe?
No, that isn't one of those.
Artemis I.
We'll have to show Stephanie that, because that thing was cool.
Deeper and deeper into space.
Okay, now don't come up with anything that I'm going to be jealous and want to spend.
You're going to be jealous. I'm
Some
sorry.
gajillion dollars to get.
I had to cut the audio because there was a little bit of music in there, and
Okay. Well, we're coming up on T plus 40 minutes, guys.
I think they said 53 or 58 minutes.
Was the perigee burn?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Stephanie,
Yo.
it's $139 on Amazon.
Hop me the link. I don't
All
need it. I don't need to spend $139 for a freaking lamp, but I want to look at it at least.
I'm throwing it in private.
I'm not even going to look at it.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
I know you will. If you'll have one next show, I'll tell you.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's the solar
It
cell.
explodes.
Oh, there's what's his name?
Les.
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 That was
Yep.
Les's project.
Yeah, they just showed it. Just little clips of
Yes. This, oh yeah. You really, really, really didn't need to show me this.
No, I had to. It was a moral imperative.
Yeah, this is gorgeous. And it floats.
It levitates. I don't know how they do it.
Yes, it's magnetics.
Oh, is that the one that levitates and rotates?
Mm-hmm.
And lights up.
Got one of Mars. They got one of Mars, Earth.
They got one for Earth, Mars. I think they got a sun, but I'm not sure. Excuse me.
See, when I was a kid, and remember the old National Geographic magazines?
Yeah.
And how they would put out the maps and stuff. They
Yeah.
put out a lunar map, and then later on they put out a Mars map. And I unfolded both of those things, and those went on my wall in my bedroom.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame you.
I was such a space geek when I was a kid, and really haven't changed much.
I am going to switch over to this tab. Go ahead and cut the audio back up. There's the view. That's looking up towards the crew module.
Deep space.
Yep. There's nothing for what?
139,000 miles or something.
Oh, yeah, a few million miles there, maybe.
A billion.
Probably could. Well, no, you probably could find an asteroid out there a lot closer, but
Yeah. Well, the first thing of importance.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Imagine this thing's cruising along. You're looking at this view, and all of a sudden you see a red Tesla go by.
well, worse yet, you see a manhole cover. Phew!
Of course, we figured that up. It either burned up in the sun or it is in the Oort cloud. Isn't that what we figured?
Yeah. Yes.
Depending on what
it's
time.
It's not that. If it headed outbound, yes. Depending on what time of day. If it was headed outbound, by now it's probably getting close to the heliopause.
Okay. That was
so
cool.
It's not far from leaving the solar system. Huh?
As we were talking, the spacecraft is rotating. You can't tell, of course, because the camera relativity and all that. But you saw the Earth come across the corner of the screen and disappear off the side of the screen.
Yeah, they're adjusting the solar
you can
panel.
See, yeah, you can see the solar panels move.
Oh, I see stars or debris. I'm not sure which.
Debris.
That's probably debris. Could be anything from a flake of ice to a paint chip.
Or a manhole cover.
Or RTV. Or RTV.
They did say the gasket sealant was around the solar panel covers. So that was...
Oh, point. Yeah. That was a gorgeous launch, guys.
So they're testing the solar panels, but it looks like they're undeploying them because they're not pointed at the sun.
Unless maybe it's looking back on the propulsion stage and they're getting ready for the burn.
Okay. That's what they're probably doing, is they're moving the solar panels around to position the cameras to see stuff. Which,
yeah.
That would be really cool.
Or they're folding them back.
Look, I think you can see. Look, you can see the white dot on the end of the panel.
Yeah.
Is that the camera? Maybe.
Possibly.
Because there's another corresponding one on the one up above. I'm pointing like y'all can see.
Yeah, see, they're just talking over on the other channel
Oh, there
about.
goes another something flying by.
That was my mouse. Sorry,
Oh, was it? Okay.
that's my pointer.
Thought it was another piece of debris.
No, what I'm thinking is maybe they're folding those wings back for the orbital phase or whatever.
They gotta detach the lander, turn around, grab it. Just
No,
like
they're not going to be a lander.
but they still gotta practice it.
No,
Is
there won't be a lander with this.
Oh, there's no dead weight or anything, or practice object, or
No, there's SLS will never carry a lander. SpaceX has the lander.
How
Okay.
are they figuring on getting to the moon?
yeah. There's that whole get to the moon thing that we're
The
kinda talking-
SpaceX lander. SpaceX got the lander contract. It's going to be Starship.
Ah,
So
And
what are these guys doing?
yeah,
okay.
that's the bus for the people.
Ah.
But see how they folded the wings back there for the burn? That's what they did.
Ah.
I need some commentary over
So
on
we should
this.
be coming up on. Yeah.
This is the orbital. Yeah, Kerry, it was a good launch. I will agree to that. Let's go ahead and move us.
I have seen.
back.
Okay.
You've
There's a
seen
lot of
what?
people down
I have seen many launches, in person and sitting console, and I have to say that was one of the prettiest launches I have seen in my life.
Well, camera technology too. So it's, I mean, supposedly the NASA channel showed that in 4K. So I would love to go downstairs and see that on TV. So
Let's see. What are we? We're broadcasting at 720 6p. And I think
no, that's 720 pixels at 60 megahertz. That's how fast it cycles.
Yeah,
which is not bad.
we are at full high. We are broadcasting full high definition 1080p. So our broadcast is clearer than the feed we're pulling through YouTube.
This message brought to you by Joe Dog and StreamYard, the ultimate streaming service. Nice.
Joe, can you move us back up to the side so I can see the timeline across the bottom there?
The last one was solar.
Thanks, Megan. And you're right. We are coming up on
solar
perigee raise
wing.
maneuver about 2 minutes from now. We are now 51 minutes into the flight of Artemis I after lifting off at 1:47 a.m. Eastern Time from Kennedy Space Center. The vehicle now traveling over 14,600 miles per hour. So during Orion's orbit of Earth, it reaches an apogee and a perigee. The apogee is the highest point above Earth's surface, and the perigee is the lowest. Therefore, this perigee raise maneuver is a firing of the ICP GPS RL-10 engine, and it's going to raise the lowest point of Orion's orbit over Earth. This also included a checkout of Orion's systems and any adjustments to the solar arrays. All 4 of those solar arrays, as you can see, are swept back. That's going to keep them from having any loads imparted that might damage them for use later in the mission. This also, the perigee raise maneuver, will put us in the proper position for the translunar injection burn. That's that really big and long burn that we need to send us to the moon. We're about 1 minute away from the perigee raise maneuver. This is a shorter burn. It's less than 30 seconds.
All red elements, set S foils for attack formation.
About 45 seconds until the perigee raise maneuver.
Artemis I standing by. Artemis V standing by.
I'll tell you, if we even see Artemis V, I'd be impressed.
I don't think I have enough leftover shuttle stuff to do Artemis V.
Coming up on 53 minutes into today's mission, and we are standing by for the start of the perigee raise maneuver. Again, this is a firing of the RL-10 engine on the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. It's less than 30 seconds long.
10.
I wonder if they've got cameras on the solar panels that can see this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that should be the ignition.
Yeah, look at the thing
And we have
wiggle.
confirmation of perigee raise maneuver ignition and full thrust. This is a
cameras
live
on the
view
solar
from
panel. The solar
the
panels are doing
spacecraft.
this.
Again, a really short burn. We're standing by for the cutoff.
Boy, it's torquing those.
Uh-huh.
Well, I wonder if that's actually part of the maneuvering.
And we have confirmation of perigee raise maneuver cutoff.
They're
Flight
doing
dynamics
this.
officer reporting on the loops here at Mission
Yeah,
Control
they're-
Houston that it was a
Well,
good
what I'm
burn.
wondering is
We are now
if
54
it's got
minutes
one
into the
engine,
flight.
I wonder if
Orion
it
traveling
gimbals
14,700 miles per hour, and that was the perigee raise maneuver, lifting the lowest part of Orion's orbit around the Earth and putting us right where we want to be.
Now,
Try
what?
me again, John.
Injection burn.
I'm
We're looking
wondering
for that
if
translunar
part.
injection
It only has
burn to
one
happen
engine.
about 1 hour
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering
26
if they
minutes
gimbal it
after launch,
to
so
get that
about
kind of
30 minutes from
oscillating
now.
football
That'll be that
stability
long
thing
burn
going
that
on.
helps us break free from the pull of Earth's gravity and commits the
No,
spacecraft to
that
a
was
lunar
probably just
trajectory.
Just
So
the
when
solar
exactly
panels doing
mission
this.
is
Yeah,
over,
just the
raise
solar
maneuver,
panels.
Lack of wind.
back to Megan at KS.
Because I'm sorry, when they fire an engine, it puts a vibration through the system, and so that vibration is then going to propagate out the length of each one of those wings. So
Remember,
it just
I told you earlier the craft was rotating. You could see the Earth like showing up in the corner and stuff like that. I'm wondering if maybe that was
Now,
part of it.
55
Or,
minutes into the flight of Artemis I,
Well,
again, we had liftoff
at this
1:47
point,
a.m. Eastern
there's no
time
real
from
need
Kennedy
to
Space
spin
Center
it.
in Florida.
The
Team
this
here in Mission Control
if you're
Houston
trying
will
to
continue
stabilize
monitoring the mission
something via
around the clock,
spin,
all the way
it's because
until
you have
splashdown of the
aerodynamics
Orion
going
capsule.
on. But
Well,
here
they
there are
rotating.
well, wouldn't
yeah,
you
there
do-
it's
well, what I'm thinking is they've got liquid fuel.
yeah.
They may spin it slightly to keep the liquid fuel going in the right direction.
No, there's pumps. There's no need to spin it.
Unless they're doing it for thermal.
Well, yeah, you can do a thermal. We used to call that rotisserie mode, because and yes, it is something that you can do as a thermal even heating, as it were.
Well, it looks like the light's on in the cabin. You see that?
Uh-huh. But I mean this is an animation, but yeah, that's probably the reason why it's spinning, is they've got it in a thermal conditioning mode.
Rotisserie mode. Yeah. I
Rotisserie
like
mode.
that. You and Elon Musk come up with some of the most interesting rocket terminologies I've
No,
ever
honey,
heard.
I didn't come up with it. I didn't come up with it. That was being used when I was working the program. So.
Oh, well, Stephanie, that when he said Elon reminded me. Have you heard about the mission that the guy that paid for the private space flight? What he's proposing?
No.
Hubble repair mission with Crew Dragon.
I have heard of this.
I like that idea.
Well, apparently SpaceX called NASA and said, hey, what do you think about a Hubble repair mission? And NASA says, well, we don't have one on the books. And the guy goes, well, all we need is technical stuff. We're thinking about paying for it. And NASA's like, okay.
Well, yeah. Always neglect to observe a non-obligatorily presented equine in the masticatory orifice.
Yeah. But yeah, they're actually planning a shuttle repair mission in 24.
I like this. I like
Because
this.
in 23, SpaceX is going to do the first civilian spacewalk with Crew Dragon.
We're maneuvering here.
Yeah.
Aiming it for the moon.
Go for the moon.
When is the? I thought it was. How? We were just coming up on. It ought to be about an hour T plus 60 minutes ish. And it takes about an hour and a half to make one orbit. So
Well,
we're not through
it
one
launched
orbit
about
yet.
an hour ago, and they just now hit the dark side.
Yeah.
And looks like they're coming up on light again.
And they were supposed to do 3 orbits before a translunar injection.
Well, if it's just coasting right now, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they can point
Yeah,
at
but
whatever.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out why they're maneuvering.
We're at 59 minutes, 25 seconds.
Radio reception.
That's possible.
And all the little stars are NASA facilities.
Wish they'd go back to it. I want to see it.
Well, we're recording it.
I know. I'll go back and look at it.
Well, let's do this. I can scrub back. There you go.
There's Huntsville.
Huntsville's got the big star.
Yeah.
Atlanta's got a big star.
Well,
Yes.
Huntsville was the first, really. That's where they moved the rocket team to.
Yes.
why
Operation
we've
Paperclip and all those pieces of V2 and V1.
And it's
Took 'em
why
down
we've
to-
got such really, really good German restaurants, too.
Redstone Arsenal.
Redstone Arsenal, yes.
They have German restaurants down near Huntsville.
Oh, yes. Really, really good ones. Really good ones.
You know, I'm hankering for a good Jaeger schnitzel that doesn't take me an hour and a half to cook.
Come
Just
on
take
over
you an
and
hour and a half
have to drive there.
Yeah. Come on over to visit and I'll take you there.
Cool.
Seriously.
Funny thing is, up in Tullahoma, Tennessee, or
Mhm.
just north of Tullahoma, we used to go there with the National Guard. There's a German restaurant up there, right outside Tullahoma.
Well, they have Wiener Schnitzel and Jaeger Schnitzel and
That's good.
several different kinds of sausages. And oh my gosh, the desserts are to die for. And they have red cabbage, and they have sauerkraut, and they have Spätzle, and
Now,
they have
Kartoffel salad. That's the German style potato salad.
yes,
Ooh.
yes. They also have pan-fried potatoes
Pommes
as an
frites.
option. Hmm.
I like the fact that they don't call them French fries. Imagine that from Germans.
But yeah, I can take you to like the best one of the best German restaurants in town. Is not that far from where I live.
Ooh.
So yeah.
And we had a
Hey,
great
Joe.
ride in orbit today. We are
Yeah.
now 1 hour
Party at
and 2
Stephanie's house.
minutes since we launched the Artemis I mission. Orion is
Not
traveling
at
with
my
the interim
house.
cryogenic propulsion stage
My
now
house is a
almost
disaster
15,000
right
miles per hour. We recently saw the perigee
It's
raise
still
maneuver. That's where
friggin'
we lift at the
accelerating.
lowest point of Orion's orbit around the Earth, and it puts
Well,
us
that
in the
makes
perfect
sense.
position to prepare us for translunar injection burn
It
coming
was.
up in
Yeah, they
about
just did
25
They just did that burn a
minutes.
few minutes ago. So
Yeah.
of course it's ruining
Yeah.
that.
I'm getting a little bit tired, and I wasn't thinking.
Oh, they're coming up
Of
on
course they have to keep accelerating because they're about to do a translunar injection burn, and in a little while, and they've got to keep building up speed to get out of the gravity well.
Okay, that should be the coast of Africa.
And to tell us a little bit more about the translunar injection burn, we've got Dan Hewitt.
I don't know. I'm looking. Let me see if I can't find.
Looks like the Morocco area. You know, there used to be an emergency landing facility in Morocco for the space shuttle.
Okay. I just found a timeline here. From.
Oh, good.
Let me get it downloaded, and I'll bring it up. Where do we go? Where is it? There you are. I lost you for a second.
I'm trying to find the
orbital track.
Oh, I would just downloaded it. Go back in. Okay, I can't do it. WEP file. All right, we just did the raise at 51 minutes. The TLI is at 1 hour 37 minutes, and
okay.
IPS separation is at 2 hours and 5 minutes.
All right, that
This
looks
thing is
like
moving. This thing is.
It's drifting right now.
I think that's the coast of Western Sahara, but I'm not certain.
No, that would India.
Really? Is that far along yet?
I mean, well, they're an hour into the flight.
Yeah, but normally it takes an hour and a half
India-
to do an orbit.
Yeah,
but that would
India's in
indicate that it's
daylight.
already completed an orbit. I'm trying to find the track.
Oh. And India's in daylight. Western Sahara is still early in the morning. Kind of like here.
I cannot find. What I want is just the ground track. Ground track. Come on, give me a friggin'.
and 30 seconds into the flight of Artemis I, now traveling over 15,200 miles per hour. Again, we've recently had the perigee raise maneuver, and in less than 20 minutes now, we'll be looking for the translunar injection burn that Dan just showcased that's going to send us to the moon. But our mission started off with an epic show from the Space Launch System.
I'm searching tracks right now.
Thinking that
Again, the Space Launch System is what carried us into orbit today, launching off at
Artemis is going
1:47
faster. It's
a.m.
probably
Eastern
getting
Time.
faster.
And we've got a couple of special guests from Marshall Space Flight Center. We have Bruce Tiller, the Solid Rocket Booster Manager, and Johnny Heflin, the RS-25 Engine Manager, to tell us more about the maiden voyage of the rocket. Now, they both got to watch it live at Kennedy Space Center. So a big hi to you, Bruce and Johnny. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Can you tell me a little bit about SLS performance? Did it perform
As you expected.
Yeah, Bruce. You want me to start?
Go ahead.
Sure. So I managed the booster part of the rocket, and the boosters were fantastic. They performed just as we expected. We got to see some of the data. Obviously, the team hadn't plotted it all, but the pressures looked great. You know, it burned for just the right amount of time, and it separated great. We could see that as well. So very pleased. We were confident it would work well, and it did. Very happy.
Similar story for RS-25, nominal, what we call nominal performance. The engines performed exactly as predicted based on the quick look data. Like the booster, we've got a lot of data to look at, but so far the data looks really, really good. These historic RS-25s that have 25 flights between them on coming off the shuttle program. So really looking forward to getting a look at the data. It looks really good so far.
That's fantastic, and we agree. It was amazing to monitor here, and the loops were very quiet in Mission Control Houston. That was a good sign. You knew that things were going well. So we know that the launch abort system was inactive for this mission, but it will be active for when we have crew on board for Artemis II. Are there any other differences we can expect to see in the rocket for Artemis II?
So for the boosters, by and large, no. If I talk about the boosters from top to bottom, we are going to make one change though, because of the crew is on it. We're going to have a delay timer in there so that if for some reason they need to abort, we have a few seconds there before, after they abort, before the termination system destroys the rocket. So we will add that, but other than that, nope, these boosters will be the same. Second flight is the first.
Same story for RS-25. It will be the next set of 4 heritage engines from the shuttle program. Configuration-wise, they'll be the same as what we flew today.
Then I'm glad it all went so well. And so after you get that data back from today, what's next for your team?
Well, for my team, we've still got a ton of work to do. We're not only, we're working on at least 3 flight sets at the same time. And so we've got 2 and 3 and 4 to work on. We also are working on a new booster that's a composite case design that will replace this steel case version that we're flying today. So we're excited about that, and there's a lot of work going on there as well. So we've got a lot to do, and we'll just keep doing it.
So RS-25, super busy as well. We have the Artemis II engines have already been delivered to MAF, and they're on schedule to be installed in the Artemis II core stage in mid-January. We're also about to start the certification test series for the new RS-25 engines that we're building. We have heritage engines for the first 4 flights. Beyond that, coming in on Artemis V, we will fly what we call the RS-25 restart engines that have been redesigned to reduce cost and reestablish manufacturing for future flights. So we're really excited to get into that certification test series really soon as well.
All right. Well, thank you both so much again for joining us. I'm glad that you got to watch the launch, and a major congratulations to you and your teams for all of the effort that you've poured into this. Go Artemis.
Great day.
Great day.
Thank
Fantastic.
you so much.
All right, and we are now 1 hour and 12 minutes into the flight of Artemis I. We are traveling at orbital We are traveling at orbital velocity. Again, Orion is currently attached to the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, which recently performed the perigee raise maneuver. And we are standing by for translunar injection burn, now less than 15 minutes away. It's going to be about an 18-minute burn that will commit us to the moon. Part of the Artemis goal is to inspire the next generation of dreamers and explorers. So we want to show you what students are doing right now to bring the Artemis missions to life.
They're not going to have actually completed one orbit according to what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I just
before
found.
they do the translunar injection.
Yeah, I just found it. Let me get it pulled up or loaded up.
I had thought they had said earlier they would do 3 orbits.
I thought that was, but it looks
and then-
like a coordinate map. South America.
Again, 1 hour and 13 minutes, 30 seconds since liftoff today. We are looking towards translunar injection burn, now about 13 minutes away. That's going to send us to the moon. But did you know that you were invited to fly on the first Artemis mission too? Earlier this year, NASA asked the public to create a pass to virtually board Orion. Anyone who signed up got to include their name on a flash drive. I know my name is on there, and that flash drive is on Orion right now for its journey around the moon. It has more than 3.3 million names.
My name's on it. I remember filling it out.
So we're flashing the moon.
The Orion spacecraft is designed to carry 4 crew members to lunar orbit, which we're preparing for on Artemis II. NASA astronaut Randy Bresnik brought us through the hatch of the vehicle to show us where those future crew members will live and work during their journey.
All right, 1 hour, 14 minutes, 50 seconds. Well, it looks like they are. You're right. It looks like they are laying right on the ground, John. I can't run the video, the audio, because of copyright. See, that's what they're gonna. There's gonna be a space station around the moon. They're gonna dock with the space station, and then transform over to the.
Now, okay, they just showed a lander.
Yeah.
But the lander is going to be attached to the space station, if I'm understanding what Joe is saying. The lander is basically a shuttle, back and forth.
Yeah.
So it's a multi-use lander.
Yes.
Yeah. And it just so happens that the docking nose on the lunar, the Starship lunar lander, is the same. The lunar lander can actually dock with the space station, with the ISS, which also has the same docking attachment as the Dragon.
Well, that's as it should be. Everything should be interchangeable.
Didn't they? I'm trying to remember. After Apollo Soyuz, didn't NASA start using the Soviet or Russian method of docking or whatever their docking system is? Or do we just build better adapters?
We built better adapters, and Russia cannot dock on. Europe, Japan, and well, ESA and Japan, their docking adapters are the same as ours.
Yeah.
Russian docking adapters will not dock to anything on the American side.
Yeah, they had to have their own docking module. Excuse me.
And their docking module had to have, or did we conform to their docking module, or did they conform to our side too?
I think we conformed to theirs because it was easier for us to conform to theirs than it was for them to conform to ours. Because we could dumb down our system.
I just had some. I just checked. I hadn't been looking at my my messenger commentary, but I have a friend who's been watching the broadcast, and he says, one, I still am a space geek, and the other is manhole cover be long gone. Yeah, that manhole cover.
So he knew what we were talking about.
He knew what we were talking about. Yeah.
I'm glad that that's not just a private joke. So.
Looks like you're in the translunar injection burn.
Well, I would hope not. It's about time, but that's not the right attitude for it, I wouldn't think.
And they're not talking about it, so.
It should have started at 1 hour, 33 minutes, 21 seconds. It's going to go on for about 18 minutes.
We're at 1:19:12.
Oh, and just so y'all know, that was Operation Plum Bob.
What, with the manhole cover?
With the manhole cover.
Okay.
I am putting the wiki link into private chat now.
Okay.
Maybe they're just doing engine chill right now.
Thank you, Dan. And
All right,
yes,
here we
indeed,
go.
we are
It's a
looking
computer
for
graphic.
TLI coming up in about 7 minutes from now. Again, that's it's a long burn for us, about 18 minutes long. But before we get to that milestone, I have a friend of mine here. It's Stu McClung, the Program Planning and Control Office Chief of Staff for the Orion program. Stu, I am so glad that you could join us today.
Thank you. Good morning. Good to be here.
So how is the spacecraft performing so far, and what's next?
So far so well. Good. We were clean during the pre-launch and ascent. The team's down the hall in the MER taking a look, working everything. It looks good so far, so that's good. And of course, we got the burn cup. After the burn, we'll start ticking through all of our planned events. Like we have a solar, the SAW modal survey. The wings will have a modal survey that we'll do later this morning. One of the first DTOs that we'll take a look at, evaluate how they react.
So DTO, designated test objective. What's another one of those that we'll be looking at over the next 26 days?
We have probably a good 100 of them. They, culminate from everything from like the modal survey to how the cooling system behaves, common track system. On entry day, one of our major test objectives is looking at how the heat shield and how it handles entry heating.
So how does it feel to be here today and see the future of human space exploration unfold?
It's great. I was doing my shift in the MER earlier today. Haven't slept.
Okay.
The emotion,
We
the adrenaline.
Step minutes.
It's great
Stephanie,
to be part of this.
in a toss that you've
great
coined,
watching, watching
I got to
the
run down
KC
the
team
hall.
execute, and now
Okay.
this is day one for us. You know, we've got 26 days for our team to execute now, and we'll go do our job and set
What
the
can we
stage
do
for
to
future
get Joe
Artemis
kicked off of Facebook for
exploration.
And we're excited. We're going to be here along the way for all those major milestones, burns, all the other exciting events that we are looking forward to. So thank you so much for joining us here. We are really excited. A big congrats to you and your team.
Thanks. Let's go have a good burn and let's go to the moon.
Let's do it. We are now less than 5 minutes away from the translunar injection burn. Again, this is the burn that's going to send us around the moon, going to commit us to a lunar trajectory. It is approximately an 18-minute burn. It's a firing of that RL-10
Are you
engine
singing or
on the interim
talking or what?
cryogenic
I'm
propulsion
singing.
stage.
Okay. I can't hear you.
I'm singing to myself because I don't want to get Joe kicked. I don't actually want to get Joe kicked off for Christmas.
Okay.
It'd be horrible. We do this great show and it gets banned because I was singing. No.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Hey, now you're a rock star.
Well, they are. I'm going to wait for the translunar injection.
You've got
and then
a
I'm
view here
probably
of
going to
the
call it
White
a
Flight
night.
Control Room in Mission Control Houston. This is where all of the teams will be monitoring the mission over the next 26
Once
days.
they're on the
Teams
freeway,
monitored
it's
launch
not
tonight.
really
There
that
are, of course,
exciting
several
anymore.
different shifts that'll be working here.
I'm tickled to have finally gotten the background working. My background.
I saw.
Yeah.
Except that your arms keep disappearing.
Yeah, I know that's a green screen thing for you.
All right, we are coming up now on about 3 minutes until the
It's a
translunar
farewell to
injection
arms.
burn. Again, this is about an 18-minute long burn. Firing of the RL-10 engine on the interim cryogenic propulsion stage commits us to the lunar trajectory. It helps us break free from the gravitational pull of Earth.
They'll probably do it on the night side, so the camera's probably.
In case you missed it, in June of this year, we launched Capstone, a small satellite launched from New Zealand designed to test a unique lunar orbit for our future space station around the moon called Gateway. And just 2 days ago, Capstone arrived at its intended orbit around the moon. So we're very excited for that milestone. It really helps pave the way for our future Artemis missions.
Now I'm wondering, does that capstone thing, does it have a tracker or something, or is it just making sure the orbit actually flipping works? Seems like awful short notice.
Yeah, capstone is to find out if the orbit will actually work.
But it just got there 2 days ago. They've been planning this launch for like the last 3 months, and it kept getting delayed. So.
Well, this
We are
is
now
going
1
to be
hour
doing
20, coming up on 25 minutes since liftoff from Kennedy Space Center today at 1:47 a.m. Eastern Time. We had a really smooth ride to orbit. We saw solid rocket booster jettison as well as launch abort system jettison. Eventually, we had core stage separation, which put us in the configuration that we have now with Orion connected to the interim cryogenic propulsion stage and flying free. The solar arrays deployed and have been swept back in preparation for the translunar injection burn. Earlier, we had the perigee raise maneuver, which lifted the lowest part of Orion's orbit around the Earth, put us in this perfect positioning ahead of the translunar injection burn. A good shot here of our 2 flight controllers. On the left, you saw Judd Freeling. He is the ascent flight controller. He's been with his team here for the last several hours. And to his right is Rick LeBrode. He's the lead flight controller.
Hi, guys.
Goes good.
Now, less than a minute away from translunar
You
injection
never
burn.
did forward this, did you? It's still playing like 5 minutes slow. Oh, never mind.
And this is a live view from the spacecraft.
There she blows. This will take a while.
Is that the sun or is that the burner?
No, that's not the burn. It's not time for the burn yet. That must be the sun. Shiny.
Well, if you're heading to the moon, you would normally head away from the sun, I think.
Yeah.
Or would you want to head toward the moon when it's close to the sun? That way you get to use the sun's gravity to help pull you there.
No.
Well, you want, if the moon and the sun are on the same side, then you're illuminating the lunar far side. If you're going to do something on the lunar near side to be able to talk to ground control, then you want it to be somewhere in the vicinity of full moon.
Oh, hey, Stephanie.
Yep.
Did we tell you the story that I went to get on the show one night and didn't realize I'd put on an old green t-shirt with the green screen going?
Shades of Harry Potter.
Okay. It's an invisibility cloak. They're very rare.
Yes. Yes. I'm so tickled at being able. I mean, yes, okay, so fine. Sometimes my arms go away, but I'm so tickled at having a cool background now. And I didn't do anything. I mean, it just suddenly this time it worked.
Really?
Yeah.
I went and picked up, I went and got a couple of moon themed backgrounds just for this launch. And I picked up 3 of them. Strangely enough, I only used one all night because I was so busy talking, shouting and cheering and everything else.
Yes.
You see, where were the other? I hate getting old. Oh,
Oh, sure. Well, honey.
But the alternative. The alternative sucks too.
These are graduated bifocals, computer and reading, and then my regular glasses are distance and reading. So yeah, it sucks.
You can see that little thin blue, the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, okay. We're definitely on the night side, and that's fading fast. And gone. One hour, 33:21 seconds is the burn. So we've got about 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Perform advanced infrared imaging of the lunar surface. Now 3.5 minutes into the translunar injection burn. Again, it's about an 18-minute burn, traveling
Okay.
18,560 miles per
So
hour.
they're already doing the
Quiet on the loops here
burn.
in mission control as the
Yeah,
Orion 10 engine continues
as they
to
crossed
job on the
Australia.
cryogenic propulsion stage.
Okay, so that's ahead of schedule.
We talked about a few of
Of
our
what I've
CubeSats.
got.
We also have one preparing to study an asteroid. The Near-Earth Asteroid Scout, or NEA Scout, by Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama will travel by solar sail to a near-Earth asteroid to take pictures of and make other characterizations of its surface. There's a CubeSat on board studying Earth called Equuleus by the University of Tokyo, along with JAXA in Japan. Equuleus stands for University of Tokyo, along with JAXA in Japan. Equuleus stands for Equilibrium Lunar Earth.
Has anyone seen Jim?
Spacecraft and will travel to Lagrange Point 2, imaging
Where was it?
Earth's
I don't
atmosphere
know. It was right there when we were closing the
Earth's
hatches.
radiation environment.
Okay, let's get a head count real quick. Where's Jim?
We're now coming up on 4 minutes
Has
and
anyone
45
turned on the
seconds into
cameras
translunar
inside the
injection
space
burn.
capsule
Orion
yet?
traveling at 18,900
Why?
2 miles per
That
hour.
that evidently was the burn initiating that we saw a
From the
while
moon
ago.
continues to decrease,
Yeah.
now
Rather than being a sun
251,900
flare.
miles away. To highlight some more of our CubeSats on board, we also have BioSentinel, developed by Ames Research Center in California, and will use a single yeast cell to detect, measure, and compare the impact of deep space radiation on living organisms over an extended period of time.
I hope you have more cells than that, because that's a
Our
mighty
moon was
small
developed by the
database.
Italian Space Agency and Argotech in Italy. This CubeSat will observe the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, the stage that it's firing right now, with its advanced optics and software
Stephanie.
imaging system.
Yo.
And our last
See my
CubeSat
picture
for
in honor
the
of the
Centennial
moon?
Challenge is T-Miles from Florida, who developed a CubeSat that will demonstrate
That always
propulsion
makes me
using plasma
wince, you
thrusters
know
and
it?
will compete in NASA's Deep Space Derby. These CubeSats pack a ton of tech and science in a tiny package, so they don't all have redundant systems. And if any of the CubeSats missions don't go as planned, it does not affect our primary objectives of Orion's mission. This rideshare opportunity is a rare chance to send CubeSats beyond low Earth orbit, and we're looking forward to seeing what we learn. We're now 6 minutes into the translunar injection burn. Orion traveling at 19,500 miles per hour, being propelled by the interim
They're doing a
cryogenic propulsion
translunar
stage.
injection burn.
Still quiet here on the Loops and Mission Control Houston.
Yes.
Teams are tracking
I'm
no issues
curious
during
if
the
it's
translunar
full
injection
power.
burn.
Full power.
Again,
Yeah.
this is about an 18-minute burn, so
It's
we have
gonna take it.
approximately 11 and a half minutes left.
It takes some oomph to get
Out of the gravity well.
right.
You know, I am
It's
not a
also been
great
1 hour and
mathematician, but I know
33
it
minutes
takes
since
a
liftoff
lot
today from
of
Kennedy Space Center. That
math
was a
involving
1:47
mass
a.m.
and
Eastern
velocity
time launch.
and gravitational effects of the Earth.
A
and all
smooth
that
ride uphill, as we heard from Bruce Tiller and Johnny Heflin working with SLS at Marshall Space Flight Center.
I'd be curious
Well-
to see that, though.
And this view from Mission Control Houston, teams continuing to
Well,
monitor
it's
the Artemis I mission. This is where they will be around the clock for the next 26 days, all the way until we bring
Curious
Orion
to see
home for a
what
safe
exactly.
splashdown.
I'm sure there's a lot of
Coming up on
Einstein
7.5
type
minutes until
calculations
into the
involved with
translunar
that.
injection burn, so less than 11 minutes left in
They
the
just
burn.
said this is a 26-day mission.
Orion now traveling at
Okay.
almost 20,000 miles per hour, 251,237
Wonder how many times
miles
you can
away
orbit
from
the
the
moon.
moon.
So
Again,
of the
that number
moon
continuing to shrink.
in retrograde.
Orion itself is still over Earth. It is over the Pacific Ocean south of Hawaii.
Did you just say it was over the Atlantic Ocean south of Hawaii?
Over Earth, south of Hawaii.
I was about to have a
As
geography
we've mentioned in today's
conniption
coverage,
fit.
multiple countries are represented in Artemis I
Yeah.
through the SLS, Orion, and European Service Module, as well as the payloads.
Just
that
think
come
in
along.
December we're going to
While
have
NASA is
another
leading
first
the Artemis
launch.
missions, international partnerships will play a key role in
Oh.
achieving a sustainable presence on the
Starship.
moon while preparing to send
Is
humans
that,
to
are they
Mars.
still on schedule?
In 2021, over a dozen countries signed the
According to
Artemis
Elon
Accords, which will
today,
establish a common set
he
of principles
said
to govern the civil exploration and use of outer
the
space.
next static
The
fire
Artemis
will be
Accords
all
will create a
33
safe,
engines to
transparent
test
environment
the
that facilitates exploration, science, and commercial activities
autogenous
for all of humanity. This cooperation not only furthers space exploration, but also
pressurization.
enhances peaceful relationships between
If
countries on
that
Earth.
goes well, it's stack and orbit.
Have they ever actually landed a full Starship yet? Or
Nope.
That could be difficult.
We're now over
what are
9
the
minutes
most
into the
engines
translunar
that they
injection
had on a
burn, an
Starship for
18-minute burn,
landing?
so we have about
We're
9
halfway
minutes
through the
left. We're
burn.
about halfway through. The RL-10 engine continues to fire at maximum thrust.
3?
I'm just kind of disappointed that there's nothing. I mean, I'm not seeing
Orion
anything
traveling
there.
attached to the interim cryogenic propulsion
Well,
stage
you
now
normally
over
wouldn't in space, would you?
20,600 miles per hour.
Well, there's things that they could aim at where we could actually be seeing more
Seeing the
than
Earth get smaller.
yeah, or seeing the burn, you know, or
I'll
what
tell you,
the heck is that?
yeah,
Let's see
SpaceX.
the white dots, guys. See the
Yes,
white,
I
see
do.
the gray area, and the white dots are moving. What the heck is that? Now I'm curious.
The gray area. I see the white dots. I don't see them moving.
It's been 1 hour and 37
Well, is that
minutes
just
since we
me?
launched today.
Am I getting
Again,
that
was
tired?
1:37 a.m. Eastern Time from Kennedy Space Center. Orion is still attached to the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. This is the last burn
I'm
for
probably
the
just
interim
getting that
cryogenic
tired.
propulsion stage while attached to
Doesn't
Orion.
look like
It
it's
will also
moving,
have
so
a
I'm thinking
disposal
it's
burn later
part of the
on.
spacecraft. We just can't see in the darkness.
It may be reflective targets.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes after we have
I just could have
ICPS
sworn there I
cutoff,
saw them move
Orion will
slightly.
separate from the interim cryogenic
It's probably on
propulsion
one of the
stage
solar
itself,
panels.
and the capsule
Yeah,
will be
that
flying
could be
free,
too.
still attached to the European service module.
Or it could be a rat running across it.
We've got about 7
in the
minutes left in the
studio.
translunar injection burn.
Chipmunks.
Orion traveling now at over 21,000
Sorry, Stephanie, I
miles per
didn't see
hour.
you drinking.
I very nearly spewed the computer. That would have been difficult. Yeah, I could use something right about now. Yeah.
I missed out on the day after Halloween candy sales.
Oh,
Me too.
I kind of deliberately did because I'm not really supposed to. I'm supposed to be eating essentially zero carb, and some days I do really good, and other days not so much.
The RL-10 engine continues to
Just
fire.
depends on
while
how
the interim cryogenic
much I'm
propulsion
stressing
stage
about
powering
stuff.
the translunar injection burn. This is the second firing of the
RL-10.
ICPS
What is that?
today. The first
That's a
was
Russian
an
engine.
energy race
That's the
maneuver, which
rocket
lifted the lowest point of
on
Orion's
the
orbit around the Earth and put it in the proper
on the
positioning for
orbiter
this
or the
burn.
booster,
This
whatever
is
the hell
burn
it
that
is.
commits
That's
us
got
to the moon.
this. It's the rocket engine that's running right now. Okay.
Yeah,
We're now
but it's on another rocket.
burn.
I can't
Again,
think of
it's
what
about
it is.
18-minute
That was
burn,
the
so less than
secondary.
6
I think it
minutes
was the
left.
booster
And
on
1
the
hour,
space shuttle.
39
They had
minutes
two of them.
since we launched Orion and the ICPS now
Yeah, the
traveling at over
ICPS. It was
21,400
from
miles per
one
hour.
of the OMS
And as I
pods of
promised,
the
we continue to
Right.
grow
shuttle.
closer to the moon, now 249,000
On the back of the
miles
space shuttle,
away.
you had the three main engines. Those were RS-25s, but you had two secondary engines.
Those were the OMS pods.
Those
OMS
were the
engines.
pods, and that was what it used for maneuvering.
Orbital maneuvering system, OMS. That's what they used for getting around on orbit.
Oh, and Stephanie, those lights are some sort of reflector or something on a solar panel. I can see it now.
Okay.
Okay, it's the Centaur upper stage of the Atlas V and the Delta IV.
Okay.
Is what they're for.
Now over 13 minutes into the translunar injection burn, putting us less than 5 minutes away
I knew I
from
recognized
cutoff.
the
We have
name.
had a nominal burn so far. That
Yeah,
RL-10
it's
engine continues
one
to
of those.
fire at maximum
It's one of those
thrust.
rocket engines that's on every
25,000
small
pounds of
something
thrust.
that
We're now
NASA.
traveling over 21,730 miles per hour.
Night.
Matter of fact, now that I'm
Almost
looking
at 22,000 miles an hour.
now that I'm looking at a picture of it, it looks almost exactly like the F1 engine they used on Saturn V, just smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And it was built by
And we've
Aerojet
just heard the
Rocketdyne.
call for priority 1, meaning we have
made the
reached
F1.
the point at which we could return at lunar return or similar speeds, testing the heat shield as required ahead of flight for Artemis II.
Oh, Atlas, Saturn I, Titan
14 minutes
3,
into the
Titan
translunar injection
4,
burn,
Delta.
Oh yeah, it's their go-to engine
until
for all
cutoff,
the
traveling
like
now at over
second and third stages.
21,900 miles per hour.
This sucker is
Hey,
hauling.
that is one of the few instances where the government actually did something right with, if it ain't broke, don't fix
it.
Yeah.
This thing is hauling a.
Well, the re-entry, they say, will be the hottest re-entry of anything we've ever done before.
I wonder if that's because the rocket's so good or because this orbit is so weird.
Yes.
That's what I kind of figured.
I don't remember
Now less than 3 minutes
them.
away from cutoff of the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, and coming up
I don't
on 1
remember
hour
on the
and 42
Apollo
minutes into the
missions
Artemis I mission.
them hitting
the
the
RL-10 engine on the interim cryogenic
translunar
propulsion
injection
stage continues to fire as
burn
planned
this
at
quickly.
maximum thrust.
Of course
Again,
not.
this is about an 18-minute burn.
No,
That's
they had to do several
about
orbits
twice
around the
as long
Earth and
as
then
the
flip
ride to
around
orbit
and
today,
grab the
so that
lunar
just shows
module
how much power
Yeah,
and then
that's
pull it
right.
out
free
before
from
they
the pull
did
of
the
Earth and take us
translunar.
to the moon.
Because if they couldn't grab the lunar module, there was no sense in going to the moon.
True.
I may not be a rocket engineer, but I'm a pretty good engineer.
16 minutes
Well,
now
I was also
into
a
the
kid when
translunar
all that went
injection
on. I had
burn.
stopped to
Orion
think about
traveling at
some
over
of it.
22,276 miles
You
per
are
hour.
right. I mean, this
22,276 miles an hour.
Now,
Sorry. Yes.
wonder-
Go.
Now this thing, Joe said this thing will never carry a lander, correct?
No.
Correct.
Okay, that's why it's moving so fast. Okay, step B isn't included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About a minute and a half now until
Yeah,
cutoff of the interim
I mean,
cryogenic
the
propulsion
plan
stage.
is
Again,
for
this being
it
an
to fly
18-minute
straight to
burn.
the
We are now
dock with the space station.
248,280
They
miles
cross
away from
over
the
through
moon
the
and
space
continuing to grow
station to the
closer,
lander, go down to the
605 miles
surface,
away from Earth,
do
and
whatever they
continuing to
do, go
increase in
back
rocket
up to the.
So they're going to send something to the space station with fuel, or they're going to already try to make fuel on the moon.
Yeah. Good point.
Yes. Both.
Because I imagine you don't actually need a lot of fuel to get down to the moon and back up.
You need more getting down than you will getting up.
You got a break.
Less than a minute now until cutoff of the ICPS.
Do you?
And the end of the translunar injection burn. We've had a good burn all the way through so far.
I mean, there's no atmosphere to go through. So technically it's
And
just
1
gravity
hour,
pulling you
44
in,
minutes
so you
since
just have to
launch
overcome
today.
1/6 gravity.
Yes.
Of course, because there's
But
no
you're
atmosphere.
you're moving at a pretty good clip.
Yeah.
So you've got to slow down a lot.
You're still moving at,
well,
tens of thousands of miles an hour.
Well, maybe. I mean, depends on the orbit. If you're going from a space station that's orbited, you break off from space station. I don't know if you could just gravity drop to the moon, which would still be pretty fast because there's no atmosphere to slow you down. So, or if you'd actually have to bump yourself in with the rocket engines to get to a appreciable speed of getting the mission done in one day or whatever.
And we have cutoff of the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, which has
now
committed
this is a
Orion
graphic,
to the
right?
translunar conjunction. The spacecraft is moon bound.
Yes.
And they're showing the lights of the cities in the graphic.
Orion is now traveling
Yes.
at 22,500 miles per hour, 247,450 miles
They
away
couldn't
from Earth.
show a
Now
highlighted
that the interim cryogenic
portion of the
propulsion
Earth
stage
that
has
is flying
completed
over.
its
They
translunar
just show
injection
the city
burn,
lights.
it is no longer needed to propel us to the moon. It's done its job and it will separate from Orion.
I'm not sure if that's
After
cool
it
or not.
separates, those 10 CubeSats we discussed will be deployed from the Orion stage adapter, which is below the service module and above the ICPS. Each payload will be ejected with a spring mechanism from dispensers installed on the Orion stage adapter. And again, these will help us study the moon and space weather, test innovative propulsion technologies, analyze the effects of radiation on organisms, and provide high-resolution imagery of the Earth and moon. The CubeSat deploys will start just short of about 4 hours after launch. Once those CubeSats are deployed, the ICPS will be on
Well, I'm
track for
annoyed 'cause I
disposal in a
can't find-
heliocentric orbit, meaning it will closely circle the sun until destroyed.
You're annoyed because you can't find.
I can't find lunar orbital velocity information. I'm going to have to calculate it.
This is the lander that they're going to be using.
The next change we'll see is for the ICPS
You know, I
to
wondered about that
separate
because
from
that looks like
Orion
an
and the
awful lot
service
of weight
modules
to
as
hang
we
off the
continue
side of
flying
that
free
on that
on
elevator.
their journey towards the moon.
I know. Agreed.
Of course, it's only 1/6 the weight that it would be here on Earth, but still, you'd think they're going to have some sort of boom leg to hold it up. Hey, I've worked a crane in the military. Trust me, you have to have those outriggers.
Oh, yes.
And if you've ever worked a backhoe, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hey, you ought to try what they call a great all.
Mm-hmm.
Those things don't have outriggers.
47 minutes and 30 seconds into the first flight of the Artemis program. Orion now traveling
All right.
21,860 miles per
Of course,
hour.
I imagine if they had a counterweight system,
1,129 miles away from Earth.
that there's like a tunnel on the opposite side of the rocket with a counterweight in it. So when they drop the lander and the elevator platform off one side, it drops the counterweight on the other
Should
side.
be about 10 minutes after the translunar injection burn is complete, so approximately 7 minutes from now. Shortly after
7:47
ICPS separation, Orion's service module will fire its auxiliary thrusters to move the spacecraft a safe distance
And they have
away
these
from the expended
weights in the
stage.
tail section
Orion
that
continues
are
on
in
an
these little
outbound path
channels
to the moon, and the Orion
that
stage
to
adapter
trim the
attached to the
aircraft
interim cryogenic
out,
propulsion
they adjust the
stage will
weight
deliver
back and
several
forth
small
and
payloads
tell the
over several
aircraft.
deployments.
They need more weight in the back, they push the weight closer to the back of the airplane. They need the weight in the front, they move the weight back closer to the center of gravity. To reduce the size of all this on the aircraft, they made the weights out of depleted uranium, which is like the densest material that we have on Earth. It's like something like 10 times denser than lead or something like that.
All right, he's just now making a
Hey, look, there's Cape Canaveral. Okay, that's what's funny is the nose is about to go directly over Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah.
They just so happen to be flying directly over Brownsville, Texas, and a certain other rocket launch facility.
All right, so let's see. So that's the radius.
Okay.
That's what this sort of is what throws me off. SLS is more powerful than the Saturn V.
Is it?
Yeah, but can't lift the mass that the Saturn V did. And it's going to take them longer to get to the moon.
Of course, they're using smaller engines on the orbital system. Look, what we're looking at right now has a smaller engine than what the service module had on the Apollo.
Yeah, probably.
I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
like
a low lunar orbit has a approximate velocity of about 3,600, a little bit less than 3,600 miles an hour.
Okay. Now,
So
do
you,
they have
and you will accelerate when you start down because of the
because
lunar gravity.
Now, doesn't that depend on the mass of the object that's orbiting?
Well, yeah, I just calculated it for the moon.
51 minutes since
I
launch
just
today
calculated a low lunar
from
orbit.
Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Orion is
It
traveling
doesn't matter
attached to
what
the interim
object is
cryogenic propulsion
orbiting.
stage, but not for much longer.
Oh, it
We
doesn't.
look for that separation
No.
to
I thought
happen in
heavier
about
objects
5
had to
minutes.
move faster.
At that point, Orion will still be flying attached to the service
No,
module.
well,
In this animation,
no.
you can see the service
It's
module
just harder to
directly
get
below
them
the
up to
capsule.
speed.
Those solar array wings are deployed.
Uh-oh. We killed NASA.
The spacecraft now
Hush.
traveling over 20,570 miles per hour, continuing to increase its distance from Earth, now over 1,780 miles away, continuing to decrease its distance from the
You know,
Moon,
but no, it's too late at night.
245,150
I was gonna
miles
say,
away.
Can you imagine everybody sitting down there? They just watched the launch. They're still sitting on bleachers. They look up, and there goes this streak across the sky.
Well, if there was anything to illuminate it, or if it was far enough out to be illuminated by the
That's-
sun, then yes, they
Yeah,
they
it's exactly. Oh, look at that. The solar panels are picking up sunlight.
Yeah.
They might actually be able to look up and see this darn thing.
Well, this is an illustration though. This is a graphic. It's not the real deal. So, but yeah, potentially.
You know how I can tell it's not the real deal? You can't see all the cars in gridlock traffic around Atlanta.
That's what that big bright light is.
It's just headlights.
Yeah.
Headlights and brake lights.
Well, it's actually showing the limb of the Earth.
Yeah.
Limb or whatever they.
And limb of
look
the
at
Earth.
that.
Yep. And they're showing the sunrise.
So they may actually be able to see this darn thing.
Potentially, yes.
Baby bitty dot, and you got to be looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
They know what to be looking for. I mean, they got all those cameras. Surely somebody thought about, hey, watch this. What is that? That's the thing we just launched. You know,
So this thing will pretty much unlike the rest of the trip, right? To the moon.
it's doing the translunar
Should,
injection,
yeah.
so it's leaving Earth's orbit, which is why they show it not heading towards the moon.
Well,
And it should be in sunlight from now on out.
Hearing confirmation from Team
Should
Sierra
be,
Mission
yeah.
Control Houston that the solar arrays are in their proper configuration for interim cryogenic propulsion stage
You remember
separation.
several years
Again,
back
we
at
just
a
saw the
Chatacom,
translunar
Stephanie,
injection
I asked
burn,
you a question
successful,
about
approximately
the Earth's
18-minute
orbit.
burn that has helped Orion break free from the pull
What
of Earth's
was it?
gravity and sending us toward the moon.
If you are the
We're now
sun,
standing
you're
by for
looking at the
separation
Earth.
from
The Earth
that
rotates
stage
to
now
the
that it has done
east,
its job
and
for
that's why
Orion.
the sun
However, it
comes
still
up
has a
the
job to
east,
do.
right?
It will help
Which
eject
direction
some
is the
CubeSats
Earth
that will help us
orbiting
study the
around
moon,
the sun? Is it
Earth,
heading to the west
and
or
the
is it
space
heading toward the
environment.
east? And you told me it was heading west.
Orion now traveling at
Yes.
19,700
Okay.
miles
And you
per
said
hour.
you'd have to confirm that. I was just curious if you ever went back
2,270
and
miles
Oh,
away.
yeah. Because as it's moving
We're
to the,
expecting that
as it's
stage
rotating
separation
to
to
the
happen in about
east,
a minute.
you get how can I explain this?
Coriolis effect.
No, we know because of
Ooh.
meteor showers.
We just broke the spaceship.
We just jettisoned.
As you can see, we have
And there
confirmation
goes
of
the-
the interim cryogenic propulsion stage from Orion.
We know that you get
With the Earth in the background and the moon is our destination, Artemis generation, we are going.
I'm gonna have to hush it.
Go for the moon.
Yes.
Hey now.
I'm just trying to get talk to you and hear that, and I'm
I
not.
know, me too.
I'm getting tired, and
Me
but
too.
so when we're going through a meteor shower, the reason why we get a meteor shower is because a comet has left behind a trail of dust in its orbit, and we're passing through that trail. All right.
Okay.
So you get your best viewing hours for a meteor shower are just before dawn, because you're now on the leading edge of Earth. Can you picture that? So here,
I think I'm picturing it backwards because it seems like just before dawn would be east.
all right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm not getting a good.
Meanwhile, on the planet ibuprofen.
I'm looking for something that's not gonna disappear when I'm trying to turn it.
Good luck.
Yeah. All right, let's see if my mouth. Now all disappeared.
No kidding.
You know what? I'm going to show it to you the next time that we're together.
There we go.
Yeah,
we can do that at the German restaurant with a bratwurst or Jaeger or Wiener Schnitzel or something.
Richard Hopkins says 800 milligrams.
All right, guys, we're on the way to the moon.
Yep. And
there's something moving.
No. Yeah. Well, they probably now that they finish firing the engines, they can put the solar panels back where they did.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we've got little pieces of debris from jettisoning the last stage.
Since Orion launched atop the SLS
It's the Cylons
Space Center in Florida.
Yeah.
1:47 a.m. Eastern Time.
And on that note, guys,
a perigee raise maneuver and a translunar injection burn conducted by the interim.
Well, thank you so much,
stage.
Stephanie.
Orion is
it's
now
been a
line
pleasure.
free,
I had a
attached
blast.
to the European service module
All right.
and on its journey to
I'm
the
gonna
moon. That might be the end of
And,
I'm going to
uh,
hold you to the German restaurant.
Okay.
I don't know when
We'll
or
continue
how.
live coverage for major
we'll
milestones,
manage it.
including the outbound powered flyby and other major burns. But when we're not live, you can check out
Joe knows I take when
blogs.nasa.gov/Artemis
people come
and the
over
NASA
to
newsletter
Huntsville,
for
I take
updates
them
on
to
the
some good
spacecraft.
places.
We're also excited
Yeah.
to introduce Artemis All Access. It's a short video project.
And I really
that will
hope when they
provide
do
updates
the
about
Starship
mission
launch,
accomplishments with a
Stephanie,
look at what's
you
to come,
join us in on that.
insight
I
looks
will do
and
my
explainers
absolute
about
dead
the
level
mission.
best if I
And
am
if you want to stay
available to do so.
updated on mission
Yeah.
activities and how to watch
I
the
mean,
mission,
if
you
nothing
can
else,
register as an online mission
Keep me
participant
posted on dates.
with
Joe's gonna
NASA's
send you a
virtual
cheat
guest
sheet.
program to stay
and
informed about
worst
mission
case
progresses.
scenario, it'll be a
Virtual mission
damn good
participants
fireworks
for
show.
Artemis I will receive
Yeah.
curated resource and mission
Rapid
activities straight
unscheduled
to their
disassembly
inbox.
tends to be
You can
that way.
register at
Boom today, no
go.nasa.gov/virtual
boom tomorrow.
Artemis
Yeah.
1. That's a Roman
All
numeral
right.
1 aspect
Thank
of the year.
you. I think we're
Don't forget, you
gonna.
can also learn about the mission
They're
on NASA and Artemis social
NASA's
media
wrapping
accounts.
up their
We'll be holding a
broadcast.
post-launch news conference
So we
at
should
Kennedy
wrap up
Space Center
ours?
at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
Eastern
we'll
Time.
That's
do a
probably a good idea.
wrap
Okay,
up.
I'll hang on for that then.
All right. I just cut them off and muted them down. Thank you for guys for being here. Appreciate it, because no way I could have stayed awake this long without you. And excuse me, and thank you to the 3 people that are still with us on YouTube.
Richard was here. I don't know who is still with us. Let me see.
Is
Mark,
Kiri still
Wandering
alive?
Arthur, Chris Walker, and what? Kyla Marie. I cannot see that name. Kyla
Yeah,
Marie.
Kyla Marie Martineau.
What? Richard Hopkins made a comment, but I don't see him. He must not like us. So that's those are the people that liked us, Joe. Those aren't the people that are necessarily watching.
Yeah, that's people that us.
Ooh, we got another one just now.
Yeah, somebody else just jumped in. Thank you for jumping in. We're actually wrapping it up. NASA's shutting down their broadcast, so we're going to also close it out here. If
Artemis
you want,
1 is on the way to the moon.
yes. They just got a beautiful picture. Let me go ahead and bring that back up real quick.
Okay.
There it is, headed for the moon. And the lights are on inside the cabin.
Yeah.
And the S foils are in attack formation. So that's...
Yeah, Steph needs
No
to
way.
go. Steph is yodeling now. Oh,
check it out. It has 4 windows.
One for each crewman.
Yep.
You don't want them all slobbering over the same piece of glass now, do you?
Well, especially with COVID.
Yeah, there you go.
Never mind. No, that wasn't even fair. That was wrong. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. All
No,
right.
you're not. You meant to do that. You're not sorry at all.
Well, thank you guys, and good night, everybody. If you want to watch the replay, feel free. I mean, it's 3 hours and 18 minutes of us blabbering.
It's free, and there is a free lottery ticket included. It's a losing lottery ticket from 2 weeks ago, but it's a free lottery ticket.
And with that, we're going to say good night, everybody. Thank you very much, and we'll see y'all for the Starship maiden launch.
Will we?
Probably. And say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Steph. Good night, Joe.
Good night,
Good
John
night.
Boy.